Giggity giggity. Hey, we're live,
Clickety
it says.
clickety. Ooh, yes, the little yellow button up on the upper right hand corner changed colors. Well, it became yellow.
Yay.
It wasn't yellow a minute ago.
So, let me make sure that I don't have that window still open and we get a feedback on it.
You actually left there before I did.
No. I meant my new stream. I just set
Oh,
up a
okay.
new one. So,
Well, yeah.
I think I
Duh.
misspelled the title a bit, but it's all right.
Yeah. You know what? That's imminently correctable. And the people that are watching, that are going to watch it live, are gonna have a laugh at your expense for about 30 seconds, and then they're gonna get stuck into what we're actually talking about.
Yeah, well,
We
I
were
was
actually
making a
just
reference to
talking
a
about
Charlie Sheen movie, so.
we were actually just talking about the Kiwis and their bullshit. So, but that will
Kiwi,
be on the
Charlie Sheen,
front
it's all the same.
end. But that's gonna be, but you're gonna edit that part on if I remember correctly.
Correct. I'm gonna take down both videos and then put them together.
Patch them together and then, yep.
Yeah, with a giant. I'm thinking I'm gonna hold up a sign like those military guys that want to voice their political opinion, just have it cover their face, and I'll have something that's
Yeah.
like Google sucks or something like that. But anyways, so the point of this hangout, and hopefully Jared will come in. Now, this is what I like about Google Hangouts is it'll switch between the two of us, and I don't have to sit there manually do it all the time. Whereas Meets doesn't do that.
Yeah,
But
Meat is its own problems. Starting with, it costs money to go there.
it does, but it's worth it when you can have more than 10 people in there. So
Well, yeah, but right now it's just the two of us, and we're not expecting more than three. So that's not. So the 10-person limit, the 10-man limit, is not going to be anywhere near a problem. Um, Remind me later though. We do actually remind me about Kursk later,
yes,
because
yeah.
we do actually need to get back to that one of these centuries. Probably over the summer sometime when other games are going to be slower to come out, because those are my catch up times.
Sounds fine to me. So as you can tell by this the title of this, it's the Dems want to get rid of the Electoral College, Part 2. Hence the Charlie Sheen movie reference.
Part two. Part two. Oh wait.
A couple days ago, Elizabeth Warren on her campaign trail stopped in Mississippi and said she wants to get rid of the Electoral College and that she will get rid of it. I
That
don't think
went
she
over like a
realizes
ton of
how
bricks.
that
I
would
bet.
happen, but what was that?
I'll be willing to bet, if we're talking about Mississippi, I'm willing to bet that went over like a ton of freaking bricks. That was retarded. Because
Yeah.
Mississippi is so friggin' red that I'm surprised Lizzie Warren had the ovarian fortitude to show up, to even show her freaking face there.
Well, not to make a bad joke at her expense and Andrew Jackson's expense, but the native population there isn't as big as it once was, so I guess she could get away with her claims. 1024th Cherokee, I think it was.
Yeah,
God.
yeah.
That
She
even
claimed
felt
to
bad
be
coming out of my mouth.
descended. She claimed to be descended from Cherokees, and it was either 512th or 1024th. It's like, bitch, please.
She's whiter than most white Americans.
Actually, this is completely true. The average white American has more Native American on board than Betsy Warren or Lizzie Warren or whatever the fuck you want to call her today. There are so many short forms for Elizabeth. It's just not even funny. You ever notice that? Kind of weird.
Well, what's funny is she sets herself up for memes and stuff so badly. Like, I mean, I'm not sure if she's doing it on purpose or if she just doesn't understand. I'm going with the latter, but I wouldn't be surprised at the first.
To be perfectly honest with you, I'm not surprised. I wouldn't be surprised by the latter anyway. She's walked into several of these traps already, and the very first one that got any kind of real notice was Mr. Trump referring to her as Pocahontas and her jumping immediately to trying to prove or to try and approve it, try and prove things. But
Oh yeah.
she's actually, believe it or not, the thing there's a little thing, and you're probably I'm gonna make kind of an allegory here, and most allegories are suspect, but I think this one pretty well fits. This would be like claiming that you're that Navy SEAL from the copy pasta. That stupid copy pasta where you have over 300 confirmed kills called stolen valor. And really, what you're doing here is what she's tried to do is pull a Rachel Dolezal.
Yeah.
I'm not white. I'm this. And she did this not once, but several times on official paperwork, including at least one bar card.
Oh yeah.
That I have seen pictures of.
Yeah, I will. Sorry, I'm getting text messages from my union reps to take a survey. I don't know if you heard. What is it? I think it's been almost a year now. They were trying to merge my union down here in Thurston Mason County with the Tacoma Seattle union for our grocery store union.
I heard. I really, honestly, at the level that you work, I should think that would be that unionizing at this point probably the last thing you want to do.
Sorry, you broke up there, squirrel.
Okay. I should think that at the pay rate that you're working at, unionizing is probably about the last thing you want to do. And for an example of this, I point you to the quote unquote media that exists almost solely on the internet.
Yeah,
these people were being paid horrifying amounts of money. They say, well, we want more money, so we're going to unionize. And then watch a bunch of them, like for BuzzFeed, watch a bunch of them get just canned because all of a sudden the company can't afford.
Yeah, no, that's part of the problem. Yet it's a benefit for us because I know I know that I would be getting paid more if we didn't have the union right now. And I'm not just talking about my union dues and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking literally. I've had my managers tell me they wish they could pay me more. As I'm maxed out on, I'm maxed out on my pay scale, and they could provide if they could word it correctly to the company, and then the union has to sign off on it. Well, the union's not going to sign off on something where I get paid more than my, counterparts.
More than somebody has seniority on you.
Well, that's just it. I other than the manager in my store right now, in my actual store, nobody's senior to me at all. And my manager's not union, so.
Well, no, I'm talking about other people who have been in the union longer.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. So
that's what I mean. That's what seniority is in this case. It's not a question of your store; it's a question of all the areas covered by that particular union, because that's always the way. That's the way it's always been.
Yeah. and that's why I've always had a love-hate relationship with my union. Is that I really wish I didn't have to do it, but the benefit to me is that I now pay less in healthcare, dental, and vision insurance than I was outside of the union. So it's like, damned if I do, damned if I don't.
Honestly, this is Washington State. You could. There's an easy way around it. There really is. Huh?
I could just not work.
No. You could still work, and you would still wind up paying less going over to AppleCare.
Yeah, don't get me started on that.
You really would. This is you and I were in Washington State. I know exactly how it all works, and AppleCare is usually really good about getting you the shit you have to have.
Yeah. Having worked for a health insurance company, though, I'm just like, ugh. So, but that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about this, and I was going to start with two different stories. One that's for ending the Electoral College, and one that's like, don't kill the Electoral College just yet. But I think we need to give some background about the Electoral College and how it's actually utilized per the Constitution.
Well, believe it or not, we actually have two sections. We actually have two segments. The first is in Article 2 of the Constitution itself. And the relevant, there are two actual bits of this. The first is actually The first is actually what is actually still relevant. It says each state shall appoint and matters in such manner as the
Hold on. Let me
legislature.
get my screen share going on here, man.
Wow, wow. I'm on page 7.
I
Down
know.
towards the bottom of page 7 or 8. Yeah. And yes, guys, we did in fact grab this. We actually grabbed PDF for everybody, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put a link to it in the freaking chat. You guys can go have a look, and maybe if Jay's really, really, really memory happy, he'll put that. We'll get that in the description as well.
I think I have it in the description, but if not, I'll get it in there.
Okay, let me find that. Okay, there's the thing I want. And here is this. There we go. All set. That is the we have www.usconstitution.net/const.pdf, and that is the very document that we're working on, and all the papers. Oh shit! Sorry, hang on.
You might have used the wrong pop-out window.
I believe it or not, I put it in a thing. I can't delete.
We both did it.
I put it in a completely different window.
So
I was having a conversation on Steam before the stream with a buddy of mine over in Idaho, and he.
I tell him to disregard.
And I clicked that window where I just had to tell him to disregard it. You see, squirrels they have very short attention span sometimes.
I was going to say, the Ranting Monkey's new thing that he says on his streams is, "I'm the least professional monkey on the internet." You should start saying, "I'm the least professional crocodile squirrel on the internet."
Well, I'm the only crocodile squirrel on the internet, it would seem.
Hence why you're the least professional.
And the most. And funnily enough, also the most. Really weird sometimes.
Paradoxes, gotta love them. So, anyways, we're starting here on this document.
All right, let's talk document. Okay, at the bottom of page 6, we have Article 2, the executive branch, Section 1, the president. The executive power, capital P, shall be vested in a president of the United States of America. He shall hold his office during the term of 4 years, and together with the vice president, chosen for the same term, be elected as follows. Each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors equal to the whole number of senators and representatives to which a state may be entitled in the Congress, but no senator or representative or person holding an office of trust or profit under the United States shall be appointed an elector. This means, or at least that last bit, means that if you are a federal employee, you are not permitted to be an elector. This is a thing that, if memory serves, gets violated quite a lot because they don't tend to be very picky.
Whoever's going to pay them the most money. Now, the thing about the
federal employees, not that federal employees aren't entitled to their opinions, they most certainly are. But if they have a vested interest in one side or the other in some way, shape, or form, then, or they're looking to keep their jobs in the case of appointed positions, then you could see where there could be issues with that.
Oh yeah.
And very easily there'd be problems because most cabinet positions, for example, just as examples, are appointed by whoever it is that's actually in charge. Okay, so when you have a president going out, the people and a new one coming in, especially if they're of a different if the new one's of a different party, these people are already packing their desks because the day after inauguration day, they aren't going to have jobs. They really aren't, because they even know who's going. By the time transition team's done, they even know who's going to replace them. They know.
They've probably already had the meetings and stuff to brief them on what they need to brief them on.
Yep. And this is especially true of places like the FBI, the CIA, Department of Homeland Security, all those folks. And yes, I just listed off a bunch of law enforcement agencies, high-end law enforcement agencies. The CIA for external situations, the FBI for for actual internal police work, and the Department of Homeland Security on the off chance that somebody's actually being completely stupid. And I'll tell you right now, if New Zealand had actually had their own analog to ICE, it might not have had quite as many problems.
Yeah,
here recently.
yeah, that's part of the problem. Is there's not enough countries take their own security as a high concern, which is rather ironic considering most of the Muslim nations do.
No, those guys are absolutely freaking paranoid. You have no idea.
Oh, I know.
Anybody that isn't a Muslim, an Arabic Muslim, no less, that wanders into their country, those people can watch like freaking hawks. You have no idea.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that.
Hilarious.
So the highlighted section here that I've done is basically what used to be part of the section of the Constitution that has since been superseded by the 12th Amendment.
The 12th Amendment.
And Congress may determine the time of choosing the electors and the day on which they shall give their votes, and which day shall be the same throughout the U.S. So what they mean by that is that when the populace votes for their senators, their congressmen, congresswomen, their and their votes for the president, which kind of directs the electoral college how to vote. Force it. What's the word I'm looking for? This is telling them that Congress can tell when we're going to vote the second Tuesday of November. Right, second Tuesday, yeah, and then also that the Electoral College will be doing its thing later in the month of December.
At the end of the year, because and have been since the middle of the 20th century, because transportation technology had improved that much between World Wars I and II. Prior to that, it was the gathering for electors was in, I want to say, February. It was in either January or February, and inauguration day wasn't in January. It was in March. It was in late March or early April.
Yeah,
it actually took that long sometimes to get the people that needed to be there to the place they needed to do the things.
Yep.
And that included the president, wherever the hell he might have been from.
Yep. So with that, this is another bone of contention for people, but I don't want to really go too deep into the topic, is who can actually vote, or no, who can be president. Never mind. It's pretty simple. You either have to be a natural born citizen or a citizen of the United States. At the adoption of the Constitution,
35 years of age.
And you have to be at least 35 years of age and have been a resident for 14 years within the United States.
Yep.
So, for all of those that want to complain about Ted Cruz and previously were complaining about Obama, this solves it. Obama had lived here for 14 years. His mother was a U.S. citizen, and the fact that he was born in Hawaii, and the states do not have to provide any citizen's birth certificate for any reason without the express consent of said person or their trustee, if they're not capable of making those decisions themselves. So,
right.
Death or removal of the office. Yeah, those are fun. Those are fun amendments, anyways. So, this is a big one with the Trump administration. Is the emoluments clause. That's technically he's supposed to divest himself of any forced investments, but however, most of the time people just throw it into a trust until they get out of office. But it is what it is. I don't think that he's done anything illegal, but
there's actually no requirement that he give up that he surrender those things, as It's just that he's going to be watched very carefully for circumstances which he's favoring that situation in particular, because because that could be defined as corruption.
Yeah, what he's basically doing is he's pushing the envelope of what is acceptable for a president based upon what presidents in the past have done.
Well, and on top of that, he's not actually running these things at the moment. So
yeah,
it's not a question. And they didn't. I don't recall that he set up a trust for this, but he has. I think Donald Jr. is actually running the show over there.
Yeah, he just transferred it
with advice from Dad. But beyond that, Mr. Trump is fully invested in doing the job to which he was elected to do.
Yep.
So there's not a problem here.
What's funny though is I find myself doing these streams and these videos about Trump and what's going on in politics. I feel dirty because I don't support the man at all, yet I have to defend him all the time.
You know what? You know what that says? That says there's an open mind involved here.
Oh, I agree.
It says good things about you that you can actually parse out your personal distaste for the man, while still being able to defend what he is doing and yell at his critics that are being stupid.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. He's done some stupid shit. I mean, when he says he's not going to go. He says he's not going to go golfing, and where does he go spend his free time at? Mar-a-Lago golfing. I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and keep track of all the times that he does it. The MSFs.
Well, to be honest with you, he can make that claim, and all he has to do is do better than George II.
Oh yeah,
in his first year or so in office. George II, prior to 9/11, spent most of his time in Texas on a golf course.
Oh yeah.
After that, he got his shit together and flew right, but that's not here nor there.
Yeah.
Mr. Trump, on the other hand, once again, he does take time off to go play a couple of holes, and I'm not going to say anything about it. I don't care.
Exactly. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, his job is one of the most stressful jobs in the world. Yeah, you might want to have some way of blowing off steam, and if that means getting away from the DC media and going somewhere else, by all means, do it.
And go someplace else. Although he did have a pile of fun talking to Bolsonaro here in the last couple of days.
Oh yeah, I know.
He talked to Mr. Bolsonaro and all of the fun people. They had all of the fun people that were doing the negotiations had their fun, which was really not very much fun. The Brazilians brought some stuff to the table, and the United States is like, okay, we don't have a problem playing ball, but we have our own set of demands. Thank you very much, and we'd like to see if we can't get you to acquiesce to some of them. The Brazilian negotiators were not so willing, but Mr. Bolsonaro was actually mostly okay with these things.
Yeah. So.
And that really is that really turns out to be a question of, who's doing what to who and for how many cookies.
Oh yeah, when it comes to these things, especially when the media blows up about things, I find it hilarious. Especially most of what I've been hearing is they've been complaining about Bolsonaro being basically the Trump of the tropics. I love that one. And it's just like, wait.
Actually, that one is pretty tasty, and really, it's a little more on the nose than I think most people realize. He's a populist.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He's a populist. The man survived an assassination attempt early on, shortly before the big debates were supposed to start. He missed the initial debates. Managed to get himself back on his feet well enough to back on his feet well enough to take part, at least remotely, in some of the debates, and still came out as a winner.
Oh yeah.
How the man at this point, I'm gonna have to say the man is made out of freaking Teflon. He's just like Trump in this way. But the situation is we've got large amounts of populism going on in a lot of the world. Theresa May, if she had to go up for election now, if they called a general election, she'd lose. She would lose in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
If by some chance if by some chance they got their shit together, the Tories had gotten their shit together, we probably would be seeing either Boris Johnson or Jacob Rees-Mogg sitting in her chair. And really, I'm not a big fan of Boris Johnson. Jacob Rees-Mogg is an aristocrat. He knows how to do deals, and Theresa May clearly doesn't.
Well, yeah, that's the thing is with Brexit, I honestly hoped that they could have come up with a decent deal that the EU would have accepted. But knowing the EU, that's what I was going. That's what I was going to say. But I know the EU would never do that. So my next best hope was just doing a hard Brexit. Before anybody had really talked about it, I was looking into it. I was like, the hard Brexit would be the best. Yes, you'll have your short little economic downturn for a bit, but as soon as your government agencies start doing their job, which is trade negotiations, the appropriate ones, you're going to get back up on your feet. Oh yeah, because
see, I got a fun one for you, and I have this one from a couple of different economists and from the Sargon and other such places. Some of these people I have actually talked to directly. Right now, the British economy is in a little bit of a downturn as it currently exists. Unemployment is at a fairly high fairly high compared to the norm. Okay, yes, they're going to lose jobs in case of a hard Brexit. But at the same time, this is probably their best opportunity. If they're going to have a hard Brexit, they can't really hurt anything too much more. And every time, and it's really funny, every time the specter of a hard Brexit comes up, and it's actually talked about in the media as a working possibility, the value of the pound goes up.
Oh yeah,
goes up.
It does, and
the pound gains against the dollar and the euro.
And you know what's
stinking.
And you know what's funny is if you watch any of the EU debates about this, whenever hard Brexit comes up in favor in the media, the very next day or even that evening, you will see Guy Vander, whatever the fuck his name is, their Brexit negotiator, come out and double down harder than he has.
And yes, and in this last instance, he didn't double down. I think he just threw a doubling cube and doubled that.
Oh yeah, he was going for the max roll there. That's what he was doing.
Well, see, here's the fun part. Guy Verhofstadt has not been elected to anything for any reason.
Don't get me started on the EU. It is a glorified Politburo. That's all it is.
Actually, it's not even glorified. It's just the Politburo.
I think the Politburo is a little bit better than the EU. Let's be honest. You at least knew what the Politburo was.
You were absolutely correct, Jay. I should not have said that. I apologize to the Soviet era Politburo because, frankly, you're right. The EU is worse in a great many ways. They are, in fact, trying to drag back because actually, even the members of the Politburo they weren't so much appointed as they were as that whoever it was that was in charge at that time said, "I want these people," and then the rest of the folks there at the Kremlin, representing the external Soviets, did in fact vote on this.
Yeah,
And there were cases where a Russian premier didn't get what he wanted.
Yep.
That shit was incredibly rare.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's rare, but at the same time, it the communism that they were practicing was I would even call it communism light. Post Stalin is what I'm referring to.
Yeah,
because
actually, it's more like post Khrushchev. Stalin's reach actually remained until Khrushchev died. Really.
Well, yeah, but that's because
it started to lighten, and then they really started to lighten up in the 1980s when Gorbachev came to power, and and the original Soviets, or the original hardliners, had grave misgivings about Mr. Gorbachev, mostly because he was very young for the role in which he was elected, and B, he was much softer in the touch than any of them might have been. The problem, of course, is they were already seeing the writing on the wall. The Soviet Union was going away.
Oh, yeah.
And the only thing they could do is to get a softliner to cushion the fucking blow. And they managed to pull that off. Unfortunately, Mr. Putin looks like he's got his own issues at this point.
Keep talking for just a minute. I'm going to be right back.
Okay.
I'll be right back.
But they're actually working in the other direction at this juncture. Or at least that's what it looks like. I mean, certainly we have China's Zhao, and we don't talk about about the stunt he managed to pull. I don't think there's really a point to a constitution in China at this point. I'm not sure. Jay ran off somewhere, and I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work. He's got a thing.
Sorry about that. I was looking for a book. I actually got the was about 3 years ago now, 2-3 years ago now. There was a biography about Putin that came out, and I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I was looking for it to show you guys.
Well, put on the camera there, Mr. J.
I can't find the book. I'll have to do a web search for it.
Rude. Give me a link when you put a link in the thing and give me one too.
Yeah, well,
Jay and the wife with mouse ears. Hi.
Pretty much. That was our honeymoon, actually.
Yeah, cool. Well, you told me all of that anyway. I saw the thing flash and went, yeah, I gotta tweet him about that.
Hey, think about it this way: is all because of that mouse that Gorbachev, or not Gorbachev. We were just talking about Khrushchev. Lightened up a little bit in the waning years of his existence. Not that that's really true.
Right. But yeah, no, we still have not seen Russell Disney, but we did get McDoggy. But we did send them McDoggies. First McDoggies opened up in Moscow right after the wall went down.
Yeah,
it was Mr. Gorbachev tear down this wall. And we've actually had back to the subject of presidents for a little bit, because that's really what we're supposed to be here about, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure which one of us is in charge anymore, and frankly, I don't think I'm required to care. We've had 3 over the last about 50, 60 years. We've had 3 presidents that have done something that no other critter has managed to pull off. Okay. Yep. Or has managed to do properly. Mr. Nixon went to China. And there was a saying, only Nixon could go to China.
That's a famous
Nixon figured out how to do it. Huh?
It's a famous
Russian proverb. If you're talking about Mr. Chekhov.
No, I thought it was no, it was Spock who did it in the movies.
Only Nixon could go to China.
Yeah.
And that was actually Star Trek. That was actually Star Trek 6, and it was about Kirk actually being the one to start the negotiation with the Klingons.
Yep.
I remember this movie. I remember it very clearly.
I own it on Blu-ray.
Okay. Oh God, I wish I had it on Blu-ray. bastard. All right. Okay. Mr. Reagan stood on top of the freaking stood out in front of the Berlin Wall and said, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear it down." I was in Germany at that time on our side. I was actually in what was then West Germany, and I got to listen to that shit live. No, I was not in Berlin. I was I was completely the other side. Completely the other side. Now, and then we have a third one. And that was Mr. Trump doing the thing that nobody else has ever seemed to be able to do, and that was go to North Korea and talk Kim Jong-un down.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure you figured out where I'm going with this. By this time, Jay, and if you're not, I'm going to be very shocked. But what did all three of these presidents have in common?
You mean besides the fact that they weren't all? Well, actually, no. Nixon was a career politician. I could go with the obvious fact that they're all "quote unquote" Republicans, but Trump isn't really a Republican.
Well, yeah, no, actually, they were all in fact Republican presidents. That's not quite what I was going for, though. But it leads, but that word Republican leads to where we're going with that. All three were conservatives.
Yeah.
Of some stripe, and actually, Mr. Trump has not been was a card-carrying Democrat up until I want to say 2012 or 2000, either 2008 or 2012. I forget exactly.
It was 2008, but he didn't become more vocally opposed to the Democrats till 2012 when Obama got elected to a second term.
Okay, but he's never been he's been conservative enough to be willing to sit down and do the thing he had to do, not because he wanted to play pet me kiss me, with whoever it was he was talking to at the time, which is something Democrats love doing, and I have no idea why, but. It was to go there with some respect and be able to work out a deal. And the Democrats, I find that most recent Democrats, they don't know how to do that. It's the same. It's the same problem the Tories and the Tories in the UK are currently having. That and their Labour brethren. Yeah. What I want to know is why we don't have a Tory Labour Party. Because that's exactly what we're looking at right now. In the current climate in the UK, the Tories and Labour are more or less the same party.
Yeah, they're just separate factions of the same party.
And it's actually they don't actually have a true conservative party. The same thing that happened in that was going on in Brazil. All you had in Brazil up until Bolsonaro was elected was various flavors of socialism, some much more than the others.
I know.
But this isn't getting us through the topics that we actually came here for. So we're going to go down I think we're going to the 12th Amendment. So page 15, something like that?
Yep, page 15.
All right. New states, Republican government, blah blah blah. Now, actually, I want to go back up to page 10 for 2 seconds. It's for Article 4. Page 10 up to Article 4. Now, scroll down to the bottom of this, and we're looking for Section 4.
Republican
the
government.
United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government. That's not the Republican Party, unlike one recent lawsuit swore was supposed to be the case. But in fact, what we don't have here in the United States is a representative democracy. Or excuse me, we have a representative democracy. It's actually a republic, not a true democratic system.
It's nobody
is your leaders are not directly represented in a Republican form, in a Republican format. And this is where people are going to. This is where this thing they've got going on right now is going to get hammered. It really is. The power that these states are seem to be wanting to take for themselves is a power that is not granted to them. What they want to do is they want to send their electors based on um, based on the national popular vote. And that is specifically what this document and all of its amendments are set up to prevent. Because
Yes.
really there are 4 or 5 cities that make up the overwhelming majority of people.
Yep. And I've talked about
Okay.
this in the
We're
past.
talking about 15, 20, 25 million people easily to make up that can form a single voting block. Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Dallas and Austin are starting to pick up.
Seattle.
Now Seattle's not big enough yet. They're getting there.
They're one of those outlier cities that almost always goes blue, but on the off chance that they swing, they could help out a Republican.
They could, but they couldn't. But Seattle by itself wouldn't help enough. You're also talking about places like Orlando and Miami, and Los Angeles by itself can outvote.
Oh yeah,
any two of those.
I know. What
it it couldn't outstrip. Los Angeles would be par with New York City and Chicago, but any of those three could take any or all of the other cities completely off the map for this purpose.
Right. And that's kind of where I was going with my comment about Seattle being a swing city, is that we're in the current system we have what are called swing states. They're usually not always like a high amount of electoral votes, but they're
usually between 5 and 10.
Yep.
And it's based on the last and those swing states are the estimates for those swing states are based on the last election of this type that were held.
Yep.
So for a presidential election, states that were kind of in the middle, between
the purple states,
Obama and between Obama and McCain, were declared toss-ups. States that switched from one to the other were considered battleground spots. Ohio is losing that status. It has long been the predictor of presidential elections, and it's losing that. It's not back and forth nearly as much now. It's actually gone red. It's probably going to stay there.
Yeah, but what I was trying to go with is, instead of having swing states, we will have swing cities. And people think that with the national popular vote, having the Electoral College go based on that, is going to effectively have the president be elected by the popular vote. The problem is that
there was a reason they didn't want to do that.
Yeah. The problem with that is they claim now that they have no voice, that their vote doesn't actually count. And what they're thinking, I know, just hear me out. I'm trying to explain the situation. Their vote, they're saying, doesn't count because they're looking at it in the scheme of, my vote only counts in this electoral district, and my vote counts less than that. If I'm in California, my vote is my congressional district and the 2 senators for my state, basically. So at most, one vote is going to count for 3 people, or for 3 electoral college votes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you divide that amongst, I think it's like every 100,000 people makes a congressional district, I think, if I remember correctly. Your vote stays the same amount, regardless of whether you live in California or you live in Wyoming. But people don't see that way. They see that Wyoming only has 3 electoral college votes, and it's so less populated that their vote counts more, and it kind of does based on percentages of people to the Electoral College vote. But you have to think about it, that each congressional district represents 3 electoral votes, and they don't see it, and most people don't see it that way. If you go to this national,
you have your local critter, and then you have the 2 senators, and the 2 senators are required to pay attention to what happens statewide, whereas the critter that is for your electoral district only has to worry about that spot, and they can vote in any which way they care to. There are laws in some states that have really nasty, that will do really nasty things to you if you decide to become a faceless selector, but it will not affect the final. It will not affect the final outcome. Period.
right?
End of conversation. Okay, Mr. Trump lost the popular vote by by what was it, 2 million or so?
Yeah.
And that is in fact not the first time that's happened. It's actually the 5th.
Yeah.
There were
And
5 elected that had lost the popular vote and still managed to win in the right places. But there will be no right places for anybody if by some chance they made, or at least not for conservatives, if they manage to get this working. What I'm seeing, and here's what's going to happen: they're eventually going to get the 270 votes, the 270 quote unquote electoral votes that they need to create this popular vote block. And the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to be challenged. It will be strongly challenged in the federal courts.
Yes.
It will start out by getting its ass kicked, probably in either California or Florida. And Florida right now has a bill that's been introduced to prevent this shit from happening at all. Bring that thing back up. The national popular vote thing.
Yeah, I'll show the map. It shows the status of the states here based on their electoral college.
Mm-hmm.
So green indicates that they are for it. There's bill that's passed one. Orange is one thing.
Oregon, yeah. Oregon, they have at least one. In the orange ones, they have at least one one spot that is willing to do the thing.
Yeah.
Here in Washington, they've already enacted such a thing, and that makes me want to vote the bastards out. As Samuel Clemens once stated, and I have stated myself several times, politicians in diapers should be changed frequently, and for exactly the same reason.
Yep. Now here's the beauty of this, and I'm going to just tease my thought here. Is I think that what most people don't realize is that while Washington nationally is a blue state for the presidency, the last, I want to say, almost decade, it has been Republican controlled, Republican run. This last election, we finally got Democrats swinging it back in. But when we passed this, it was passed by Republicans.
That's unusual.
All right.
That's actually not a thing I would expect to see, because what you're really doing is, okay, take a look at the map. We've got our little map here. Let's look at who's got what. We have California, who is good for 53, which has 53 districts in and of itself. Most of the voting that happens in California happens in Los Angeles and San Francisco. Most of the eastern side of the state, not a chance. Okay. Yep. In Washington, we have 12, and well, that's just kind of a thing. We have 10 districts and 2 senators. And overall, we will go blue 90% of the time. And we have not had a Republican governor in this state in forever.
Nope.
Forever. Okay. But look at the states with largest numbers. We've got Pennsylvania, New York, California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia, several others. We've got Illinois too, which but you look at the map and the way it's laid out. We have these states that have already passed these things, and you have no freaking clue what the hell they're likely to do. They can do the thing that they're talking about. They can try it. They won't get anywhere with it, but because again, they're subject to they are actually subject to challenge. This kind of stunt is subject to a challenge. Period. And what's going to happen here? And I will bet dollars to donuts on it. Okay, you're going to get a lawsuit that is going to come up either in Texas or California. Once they've got their 270.
Yep.
There is going to be an almost immediate. There's going to be an immediate lawsuit either in Texas or California. It is going to be it'll be a California conservative, or you're going to or just the state of Texas sum total that is going to file this lawsuit, demanding that not only is this popular vote thing a violation of the Constitution as it stood originally, but the 25th what is
the 12th Amendment.
Amendments 12, 20, and 25. The only one they need is the 12th, because that actually laid things out. That made some significant clarifications to how they were actually supposed to do this over what was in the Constitution originally. Okay.
Yep.
The lawsuit will be filed, an injunction will happen almost instantly, and it's going to go from there to the Supreme Court. If Mr. Trump gets 4 more years, which I find incredibly likely, given the lolcow situation that is the current Democrat setup, or their little pile of puppies.
Yeah.
I strongly expect that Mr. Trump will get 4 more years. If he does not, I will be surprised, and not pleasantly so, but I get over it. I don't have to agree with Trump sum total, and I generally don't. But I love watching. But I love me some lulz. And every time Trump puts something on Twitter and the media freaks out about it, all they do is they prove that the only place they get their news is from Twitter. Get off it. Seriously, people, get off it and get there and do some real fucking journalism for once.
So here's the thing: I have a suggestion.
I'm not quite done. Okay, wherever this lawsuit is filed, there will be the defeated side will immediately go for an appeal, and the defeated side of that will do it again. And if Mr. Trump gets 4 more years, he's looking at he's looking at up to 3 more Supreme Court nominees, and he's been sending in young ones.
Yep.
For the 9-member court, he has the probability of up to 7, and the only reason Ruth Bader Ginsburg is still working, despite the fact that she's been pretty well dead several times the last year or two, is that she doesn't want to retire while Trump's in office. If he wins another term, she's done.
Yep.
And he's already got a majority on the court. 1 more will make sure that will guarantee that a large part of that the largest part of what is currently conservative doctrine remains in place for at least the next 20 to 25 years. And that's probably as up to 35, depending on exactly how young the next couple of them are, and how long, and who's actually in charge when some of these people start dying. Because at this point, Kavanaugh is, I believe, 50 or is right near 50. He's about my age.
Yeah. Here's the thing about that is I don't think Trump realized what he got when he nominated Kavanaugh. Because
aside from a huge boost in not only his reputation but the grand lolcow, because there was some serious lulls that came out of that.
Well, I'm speaking about Kavanaugh as as a justice here. Kavanaugh
Mhm.
isn't. Well, Kavanaugh himself politically is probably a hardcore conservative. He's one of those
He's not.
conservatives that
He's he, he's fairly close to center. He's about as far from the center as Mr. Trump is himself, and Mr. Trump's not that far from center.
but what I'm getting at is that when it comes to his interpretation of the law, it is very unbiased in my opinion. What I've seen in his reviews, yes, there are the occasional case that will come up and he will support his bias. I'm not saying he doesn't, but a lot of what I've
Well, by default, everybody does.
exactly, but a lot of what I've seen and read about him, he tries to do what's best for the people of the country and not his own personal interest, which is
Right.
very rare to find in a judge nowadays.
Well,
And I
here's a
think if
better one for you. Here's a better one for you. Mr. Kavanaugh has been questioned several times about Roe v. Wade and the abortion debate in general. And as far as he's concerned, Roe versus Wade is such law. It's just over. He's not even. He won't even think. He won't even. He just said, okay, nope. This is law. It's settled. Not going there. Won't vote against it. Won't vote. Won't. He's not going to put in a vote against it. He really won't.
yeah,
He will not.
the only way he would entertain something like that, and this is just me speculating on what I know of him, is that some major piece of evidence would have to come out to support the pro-life side in such a way that it would damage the pro-choice
Right.
in a legal sense, and I just don't see that
Right.
ever happening. So,
But the laws in question that are being passed in these states that you see that have been passed in these states you see as green,
yeah,
those states are going to have their shit declared unconstitutional. I can
yep.
almost guarantee it
I can guarantee that too. But
because they're right now
here's
they have 101. They need 270. They actually need 271 really. But
yeah,
if they can make that number, then they're all that. Then they can try and do this, and it will get stopped cold. The 25th the 12th Amendment is actually pretty clear on it.
yeah. Here's the thing. Let's just hypothetically. Well, let's go over the 12th Amendment really quick.
Yeah,
Then
let's
we'll
get
go
down
into
to the
the
12th Amendment.
I'm,
We're wasting time now. We're just
yeah.
kibitzing now over crap.
So the 12th Amendment is choosing president, vice president, ratified June 15th, 1804. The electors shall meet in their respective states and vote by ballot for president and vice president, one of whom at least shall not be an inhabitant of the same state with themselves. They shall name in their ballots the person voted for as president, and in distinct ballots the person voted for as vice president. They shall make distinct lists of all persons voted for as president and of all the persons voted for vice president and the number of votes for each, which lists they shall sign and certify, and transmit sealed to the seat of government of the United States, direct to the president of the Senate.
Hold on.
Basically,
Let me let me jump in here real quick. Now, here's the thing. They are not based on this information alone. They are not required to vote for whoever it is that was given the popular vote. Okay, this is not an actual requirement. There are some states that have laws that do require it, and they face some fairly stiff penalties for being faithless electors. But faithless electors do happen. They happen every time, and there are no exceptions to date.
yep,
At least not that I'm. At least okay. Let me rephrase that.
that you're not
There
aware
are
of.
no exceptions that I'm aware of. I could be wrong. I'm probably not.
Yeah.
I did actually do a little bit of research before I came in here. But I want that thing for this paragraph to be completely crystal clear.
Yep. So, the president of the Senate shall, in the presence of the Senate and the House of Representatives, open all certificates, and the votes shall be counted. The person having the greatest number of votes for president shall be the president, and if such a number be a majority of a whole number of electors appointed. If
That's why
no,
it's 270.
yeah, if no person having such a majority, then the persons having the highest numbers not exceeding 3 on the list of those voted for president, the House of Representatives shall choose immediately by ballot the president. But in choosing the president, the votes shall be taken by states, the representation from each state having one vote. A quorum for this purpose shall consist of the member or members of from 2/3 of the states, and have and a majority of all states shall be necessary to a choice. If the House of Representatives shall not choose a president, whenever the right choice shall be devolved upon them before the 4th day of March, the next following, then the vice president shall act as president, as in the case of death or other constitutional disability of the president. That's just
Now,
kind of,
here's a, let me poke at this last little bit here just a hair. There, at one point, the office of vice president was considered something of a door prize. It was for the whoever was the freaking runner up in the situation. At this, as it stands now, the vice president is elected with the president. And that's just kind of that turns out to be kind of a thing, and that's really where we're going with it.
well,
That was actually, I think, I forget whether that was the 20th or 25th Amendment, but that was another thing that was amended.
well, the vice president they're talking about here, when they originally wrote this, was like you said, the vice president was actually the runner up. The vice president that they're talking about to be acting president is the current elected vice president. So let's say hypothetically in 2020, they can't pick a president. They just keep having issues. That means Mike
Or
Pence
they
becomes
can't,
acting
or they
president.
can't get their quorum together. A
Yeah.
66% quorum is is a pretty fair number of people to get your hands on.
Yep.
Hey, carry on.
Anyways, so that would mean Mike Pence would become the acting president. Now, much of what he's going to be able to do is not much. He's just going to have to run the kind of be the day-to-day manager until they select one. But yeah, because they go into talking about the greatest number of votes as a vice president shall be the vice president, again stipulating to when they both were running.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of wish we could go back to that. I kind of wish we would go back to that. Could you imagine Trump? Well, hold on. Could you imagine Trump having Hillary as his vice president?
Oh, I could see. The White House and the Capitol building would both be on fire. You have no idea.
Oh, I'm well aware. I just think that would be hilarious, actually.
Well, actually, this gets better because and here's the fun part. You can nuke the White House from orbit. You can catch the president and even maybe the vice president and everybody else on board while they were in the building, and the government would move on as normal. Okay. However, if you took out the Capitol building, yeah, you're in for a bad week.
Yeah.
For a very bad week.
So,
and that was actually, I think that was that plane that wound up in a Pennsylvania cornfield or wheat field or some such shit. It was expected that aircraft was headed for
the Capitol.
Was headed for the Capitol building. Be aware.
So they talked about the 20th Amendment, presidential and congressional term limits. Basically, we're going to give the president a term limit, but we're not going to give ourselves a term limit. Gotta love that.
We should have done anyway. Again, I go back to Sam Clemens. He knew what the hell he was on about.
Yep. Presidential term limits again. And the 25th Amendment, presidential disability and succession. This is post JFK because they didn't know what the heck they were doing with that.
This was during the Nixon administration in 1967. Because it's Nixon. This is the Nixon Johnson period.
Yep. And I think that's one that definitely needed to be. This is definitely one that needed to be probably thought of prior to, but they just didn't really see a need because what are the odds of it ever happening? So
and then it happened.
Well, what's funny is that it had already happened before that, because it started with Lincoln. Then
I want to say Cleveland.
Well, no,
was another one. No,
it
wasn't Cleveland.
The jinx started with Lincoln, in that every year that ended as election year that ended in a zero, the president died in office. Not necessarily assassinated, just died in office. So they've had plenty of presidents in succession. They just never had a set, this is how it's done. They just automatically assumed the vice president was going to take over. You know what I mean? But they felt the need to actually start. They started thinking about, well, what about if the president can't actually act properly? And again, you're right. It has to deal with Johnson because he was basically telling everybody to F off, especially that we're part of the Kennedy administration. But I find it rather ironic, though, that Johnson actually had the opportunity to run again in 68, but he chose not to.
And clearly chose not to.
So
I forget which.
Because they didn't count the what was it in 63 when he took over. They didn't count that 1 year against him because of the fact that it was such an extenuating circumstance. So like, no, well, you were just mining till we could elect another one. That's different. If it had happened like in 61, say after the Cuban Missile Crisis, then I think they wouldn't have offered him a second run. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so do you want to?
Yeah, Nixon was elected in. Nixon was elected in 68 over the Democratic nominee, who was then vice president, one Hubert Humphrey.
Yep, the Triple H. Hubert H. Humphrey, who the Minnesota Twins former baseball field was named after, the Metrodome.
Yep. So yeah, we're at the time of Amendment 25. We're talking about the end of the Johnson era and into Nixon.
Yep.
And Tricky Dick Nixon was his own issue, was his own pile of issues. Never mind that somebody had to serve out his second term. Had to finish his second term after he said, "Nope, we're not doing this. I'm out."
Anyways, getting back to the Electoral College and the wanting to get rid of it and the wanting to keep it. Which one do you want to start with? The let's get rid of it article or the let's keep it article?
I'm partial to to looking at the argument for making it go bye-bye.
Sounds good to me.
Because as far as every argument I've heard so far comes down to, well, we didn't win, so we want to change the rules.
Yep. So it's from the Portland, Oregon Mercury in their blog section called Blogtown.
I've seen it.
Oh, I'm sure you have. The fight to end the Electoral College is gaining traction. And this is written with such smugness. It like, if you held it out, it would literally be dropping, not raining smugness off of this paper when you print it out. In case you haven't heard us shouting from the mountaintops on a regular basis, Donald Trump lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton by 2,864,974 votes. That's a solid win in everyone's book.
Okay, I know. I see what you're talking about. This isn't a lefty publication. Oh, nope. These guys weren't Hillary supporters during the election in 2016. Nope.
No, they were Bernie bros that ended up becoming Hillary. What would we call male Hillary? Whatever. Anyways, um,
we call them Hillicocks because it's pretty much what they came out to be. They were just people they were people that tucked to the hill, the same way that Bernie did. And I was actually quite upset when Bernie cucked to Hillary. I thought that was bullshit.
Wait till you hear this next sentence. But thanks to the antiquated Electoral College, we have a serial lying huckster occupying the highest office in the land. And while there's been talks of
scroll down, we can't see it.
I'm right here, man.
Okay, there you go. Okay, I got
it. There's been talks of getting rid of the Electoral College for years. The movement may be finally picking up traction. Now, I have an issue with them calling the highest office in the land, considering that he's pretty much a ceremonial paper signer. That's it.
Well, actually, no, because
hold on.
As Mr. Trump just recently proved, the word no does actually apply. He doesn't veto very much unless it's a budget that's absolutely stupid.
Yep.
We said no.
But what I was trying to get at is that the whole reason the office of president has so much power and is the highest office in the land, and I am doing air quotes there, is because Congress doesn't want to do their damn job. The founding fathers originally wrote the Constitution and the form of the government to give power to the people via Congress, not an executive branch. And since they started,
believe it or not, the highest authority was the individual in the Constitution, because the powers of the states were prescribed rather heavily, and the executive and the federal even more at the federal level.
I know.
So it's kind of a thing. And then now we've got people that are absolutely interested in giving up the power that they have in order to give the government the authority to do whatever the kid wants. And that's the last thing you want to do. Never do that.
Here's the thing. The president's now, I'm sure most don't want to get rid of this, but you've heard of the War Powers Act, haven't you?
Yes, I have.
Now, who originally, according to the Constitution, had the war powers?
The powers, if I remember correctly, the power to declare war was invested upon the Senate.
Yes.
Whereas the power of the purse laid strictly with the House of Representatives.
Yep.
So you actually had to have so if you wanted to commit a war, you could get the approval of the Senate, and the House didn't have to fund you. Yep. It didn't have to fund this.
Now here's the best part. Both of those powers, the budget and the war powers, both reside in the executive branch right now due to various laws. Now, I can understand the budget being done by the executive departments. They know what they're spending, they know what they need, etc. I can see them submitting a budget proposal to the House, letting the House discuss it, vote on, approve it, and send it back to the president. That's fine. I have no problem with that one at all.
Which is really, actually, believe it or not, it's been like that situation has been the way it is since the beginning. We need this much money. The House looks at it and says, we don't have it. You can't have it. Therefore.
Right. But what I'm saying is, to the extent that now the president is supposed to submit a budget proposal to the House, it used to be done all in committee, is how it used to be done.
Mm-hmm.
The various, heads of the executive branch would go and be, we need this much money. Well, we don't have that much money, but we can do this for you, or we can try and raise taxes. Taxes are bad. Well, they didn't have an income tax, but they could raise various levies. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh.
And that was actually usually done state to state.
Yeah. Anyways, long story short, now the president is supposed to submit his budget, including all the black ops, to the House. The House is supposed to vote on it and then send it back to the president for signing. It's a bastardization of what they used to do, but still, I think it works effectively because again, the executive knows more about itself, especially with all the expanded powers it has, versus what it used to be. Because prior to the Depression, the executive branch didn't have a whole lot of say in a lot of things. You know, they could be like, "Oh, hey, there's this thing going on. Let me help out," and you know, yay or nay. I mean, look what happened to the League of Nations for the U.S.
Oh yeah. Well, the League of Nations was a different issue, and if I recall correctly, Woodrow Wilson decided he wanted no part of the League of Nations.
Oh no,
Then we didn't.
no, he wanted to be there because he wanted to be there to help set up and get it started. And then um the House and the Senate were both like, yeah, no, not happening. We're not so much that they were trying to be necessarily isolationist, but it's like most of the world's population is outside of the US, obviously. Why should we be trying to dictate policy to other people? You know, there's a reason why
Well,
we didn't want to get
we're
into
very isolationist prior to World War II. Once World War II, once we were attacked by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor, that was the end of that.
oh yeah.
Not only did we throw off isolationism, but we also pushed damned hard to be the to be the to be the to be the peeps to maintain law and order. And even that's going somewhat by the wayside at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're starting to get back to that isolationist mentality because we've been in perpetual war since September 11th, you know,
Yeah.
2001. Well, damn, I did not win the Powerball last night.
Yeah, it sucks to be you.
Well, I haven't checked my ticket. I was pulling up the app to check the ticket, and it's up to 625 million with here in Washington, an estimated 380 million cash payout.
Well, that's if you get if that's if you get that's if you take the lump sum. Never do that. That's stupid.
Well, I probably would just because on the off chance something happens, my family's set. Although they're gonna have to pay estate taxes at that point, and I don't care.
Well, here's the thing. You would get it's actually it actually works out over 20 years. So even if something happened to you, they'd still owe your heirs, your estate, that money. That would not stop. However, if you pick it out over 20 years, you're talking about six and a quarter $100 million or 500. I don't know what it was the last time because I don't even care anymore. I don't buy those things. You would still wind up with several $1,000,000 up front. And if you can't survive a year on several $1,000,000, you've got a problem.
Oh no, I totally understand that. I'm not arguing that point. I've often tossed it back and forth, how I would do it, and every so often I come up with I'll do the annual payment, and other times I come up with the lump sum. It just depends on what I'm feeling in the mood for.
Well, and here's the thing: if you take the lump sum, they write you a check. Sure, then you have to pay taxes on it, and all the other crap, and then you're sitting on a pile of money you have no idea what to do with. And rather than getting an investment banker or somebody like that to stick it into something that's going to generate
Profitable.
income for you, going to be at least vaguely profitable over the next while and a half, you just go batshit and spend it all, and then you're stupid.
That's most people.
Because you're actually twice. Because not only did you give away half of your money to the freaking state, you gave more of it, you loaned more of it to the state. You're going to be charged income taxes on top of that. And by the time it's all over, you've lost about half of what you were given. And then you have no invest. And then you didn't even bother to invest. Oh, that's still $150 million. Let's do it.
Well, like I said, there are pros and cons depending on what you're going to do. And yes, the cons are bigger on the lump sum payment, but you just have to weigh it for yourself. So that's how I look at it.
See what I here is my plan. I would take a third. What I would do first off is I would take all the money. They can generate whatever interest they want off of it for 20 years. I don't care. Okay, I'll take the money that I won, or I'll take the first chunk of what I won, the first year's payment. I will take a third of it out and set it over there. That's the money we get to spend to buy a house, buy a car, or buy cars, and do whatever the hell, and pay off any bills that we already had, include credit completely.
Yep.
Okay, that's the money. That's the money that we take out every year to just kind of live on, maybe. And if it's a large enough number, we leave it sitting at the bank on to just draw on the interest. The second third always goes to the bank, and it stays there in perpetuity. That's the number that will go to the children when we go, because we will do that eventually.
Okay? Yep, nobody's been able to stop that process yet.
The third segment goes to some sort of an investment vehicle, presumably something in a mid to long term, and between 5 and 15 years, and then gets rolled over. The entire amount that comes out of it gets rolled over every time, and that way we don't have the issue. We don't wind up with the issues that we would have otherwise. If for some reason we get taxed the fuck out, we still have that. That's the nest egg to draw on.
Yeah, I understand.
That's and that's probably the best. Of course, you're gonna see, ooh, money. I want some. I want to spend it all.
A lot of people are thinking that.
A little bit of, well, more bankruptcies come from lottery winners than anywhere else.
Oh, I know.
Or almost anywhere else.
I know, because you
get 90% of those people, more than 90% of those people will be flat fucking broke and have absolutely nothing inside of 5 years.
Oh yeah, no, I understand that. And that's
a little bit of forethought in advance.
I know. It's
yeah.
The thing about it is you have to balance what your needs are at the time and what you project will be an issue, because it is literally a personal choice. So I'm not going to sit here and argue one way or the other on it.
The other thing you don't want to do is quit your job. Don't quit your job. Don't quit your job until you know you can survive on the interest of whatever you've got, of whatever investments you're currently making. Never, ever.
And don't go buy the $1 million house.
What?
And don't ever go buy $1 million house.
I lost you. Don't ever go buy a
$1 million house.
No. Property taxes, son of a kid.
Yep. So anyways, back to the actual conversation here.
Conversation, yes. Let's do that.
So
go.
Monday, Democrat, well, yeah, it was Monday this week. Elizabeth Warren used her bully pulpit to call for the end of the Electoral College.
I want to know where they get off calling out a bully pulpit, because that makes it sound like it's a religious experience for whoever the fuck it was that was watching. And given the tone so far, I might actually agree with their reference to a bully pulpit. That's actually a term that is usually used by and about Pentecostal preachers.
I know. Now here's my thing. I like the way this question is phrased, because I can agree with some of it. How would you expand voting rights to formerly incarcerated, ensuring online voter registration and no excuse early voting? Well, here in Washington, we pretty much have that no excuse early voting. absentee ballot everybody.
Everybody absentee. Everybody absentee. Absentee.
Now, here's
That's
the
it.
thing: formerly incarcerated.
We
What
all have.
what do we mean by that?
Hmm?
I'm saying the formerly
But
incarcerated. What do they mean by that? Did they just mean the petty people that drug charges, things like that, that weren't really anything violent, or are they trying to say that somebody who's committed murder should get the right to vote again?
I don't know. In this state, in Washington State, as of now, someone has been accused of someone who has been convicted of a class A or B felony, which is your murders, your kitty diddlers, and that kind of shit. They don't get their voting rights back,
Yep.
not with effectively an act of Congress. Okay, anybody less than that, anybody with a C or a D felony can apply to have their voting rights restored, and generally they get it. An E-class felony, they lose an E-class felony or any misdemeanor. They lose their right to vote during the period of time that they are incarcerated, and it is immediately restored thereafter.
Yeah. But not
Okay,
all
the
states
thing
follow
that
that.
not all states follow that, of course. And of course, I use specific terminology for Washington State. Most states don't do this for misdemeanors of any stripe. Any stripe.
Yeah.
And to the best of my knowledge, no state does this in the case of juvenile offenses. Although a juvenile offense can keep you out of the president's chair. Be aware if you have a juvie record and you dream someday of parking your ass in Trump's chair, then you want to see about getting that shit squashed hard.
Oh yeah. Good thing I don't have to worry about that.
Now, as far as ensuring online voter registration, you can't. Not unless you bring the hammer down on the ISPs who were supposed to have long before now wired up everybody
Yep.
and at least make it possible. Okay, you can't guarantee everybody can get an internet connection because the only way I could get one was by means of a cell modem, and that's not even all that great. Um,
Oh.
Young red skeptic. All right. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. You can't guarantee that everybody in this country can get an internet connection. You cannot guarantee the availability of online voter registration.
Right.
It will not happen. And if you don't have some sort of a card that has your name on it, you still can't do it because they charge $1, and they charge $1 in this state to do that, and you must pay it.
Yep. So here's my thoughts on the whole um
By the way, Elizabeth Warren didn't actually answer the question.
no,
She just,
every vote
and
you
that
can.
means getting rid of the electoral
Yeah.
bullshit. That's actually bullshit. Or not. That's complete bullshit. The Electoral College has nothing to do with whether or not the individual can vote online or beyond incarceration. The other thing you have
She's dog whistling to her base.
She's very much dog whistling the base. And this gets even better because if you take the voter registrations, entirely online, anybody that can put their hands on a prepaid Walmart card can register to vote.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter what their actual status is at all.
Yep. Now here's a good one, but she's not the first to bring it up, the idea in recent months. Former Attorney General Eric Holder has also been talking about it. In his tweet, time to make the Electoral College.
Holder. Don't get me started about Holder. That guy's a dumbass.
Oh,
I've had my run-ins with. Oh,
here's my favorite phrase.
Wouldn't trust that guy with a pair of my used underwear, my used holy underwear, let alone with actually being the Attorney General for anything.
But don't you know it's an undemocratic, forces candidates to ignore a majority of the voters and campaign in small number of states?
Well, here's the thing. See, here's the thing. What they're proposing at this point is that the presidential contenders camp out in a small number of cities instead of a small number of states, because you only have to have, like I said at the top of this, you need Los Angeles, New York City, and Chicago to secure, in essence, to make the difference between the states that will vote Republican and the states that will vote Democrat. That's it.
Yep.
You need those three cities. Yep. There are a few others that you might want to check into, but other than that, that's not undemocratic. No, not at all. You're completely short-circuiting your own fucking argument here, pal. Now scroll this back up just a hair, because this is the important thing. The National Popular Vote Interstate Compact, which is where you got that, which is where you pulled up that map we were looking at earlier.
Here's their little.
Oh no, that's the actual.
This is their.
Yeah, that's the actual.
This is the agreement.
Oh well, in which case pass me a link for that, because I want to look at that too.
I'll put it in the live chat. Even though you and I are the only ones in there. Somebody will see it at some point, so they'll want it.
Somebody will see these things eventually, because chat replay is attached to anything in which to any live stream in which the unless it's specifically barred.
Yep. So, anyways, where was I going with this? Back to the story.
Before you go back, I want to point something out here in the text. Okay. What do we got? Bills enacted, blah, 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 blah. It has a total of 3,101 state legislators from all 50 states have endorsed it. This is incomplete information, people. Find out who they were and what their party affiliations are. I'll be willing to bet you would see a really, really, really fun little pattern.
Oh yeah. Now, here's the thing.
At first, the post is a shit method for doing it too. Let me.
And here's their biggest premise or argument against the Electoral College is something that isn't even in the laws about it. There we go. Because of winner-take-all presidential candidates have no reason to solicit votes in states where the state outcomes are a foregone conclusion. So, and what they're assuming is that because 48 states have chosen to go the winner-takes-all route, that it's a law. It's part of the law of the Electoral College, which it is not.
That has nothing to do with anything.
Exactly. Nebraska and Maine are the only two that have partial Electoral College votes, meaning that a candidate could win. You know, in the case of Nebraska, which has 5 electoral votes, one candidate could win all 5. They could win 4, 3, 2, 1. You know, so on and so forth. You know, and
you're still looking at 38 states which don't receive much in terms of visits, but you still have all the town hall meetings, you have all the signs, all that crap. There's still money being spent in these states.
Yep.
It's a thing.
Although I don't remember too many Trump ads coming to me on the TV. They all came over the internet.
Believe it or not, I saw Trump ads. I saw Trump ads during that time. And I think part of the you're like me that you don't watch much TV.
Yeah. So
my wife, on the other hand, watches the major networks, and she comes to me with their stories, and and then we sit down and discuss, because I can usually get more information by spending 10 or 15 minutes actually looking at a thing on the internet than she can in a 30-second soundbite that she caught on the news.
Here we go. The U.S. Constitution, Article 2, Section 1, gives states the exclusive control over awarding their electoral votes. This is also the premise of their case on this. is each state shall, and quote, each state shall in such a manner as the legislature thereof, meaning the legislature of the state, may direct a number of electors, and ellipsis and end quote. The winner take all was not a debate in the Constitutional Convention or mentioned in the Federalist Papers. It was not used by a majority of the states until the 11th presidential election in 1828. I wonder
And
why.
let me check something here.
Oh, I already know which presidential election this is.
And because if I remember right, the one in 1824 was hotly contested for a while.
Yes, that's between the same two candidates that ran in 2028 or 1828.
Right. And the net result of that is the net result of that was the fix that they put into place. Trying to determine what the founding fathers actually meant would probably mean a seance, but at this point, I think we've been pretty good about keeping it somewhat, at least somewhat real.
Here's the thing: the 12th Amendment was enacted 24 years before the 1828 election, and
and Amendment 12 was in fact the final amendment to the original Bill of Rights. Yep. Be aware.
Well, actually, the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments, but still.
Let me see.
Yes, it's the first 10 amendments. Civics is my jam.
And you know what? I have no problems about being wrong.
I know you don't.
Okay, you are correct. Because actually, the original Bill of Rights was ratified in 1791, back on the 15th of December.
Yep.
So that's kind of where we're at, and that's of course coming from C-SPAN, but it's a matter of public record.
Well, just
all the way around.
All you had to do was scroll up your Constitution PDF.
Yeah, I didn't want to. I decided I'd look on the interwebs just to stay in practice.
Oh, basically,
but there are actually several. There are actually the first page, 3 pages actually, all say the same damn thing.
Oh yeah.
So I'm willing to accept the result at this point.
Anyways,
simple things like that. Usually, you can trust the internet for. When you start getting to more complex and opinion-based shit, you want to take the internet with a fucking salt mine. Period.
Oh.
Find as much evidence as you can going in whichever direction you care to. But always go where the evidence leads. Okay, scroll up just a hair. Okay, it says here, the time is ripe for such a switch as an overwhelming majority of Americans are unhappy with the Electoral College. Said who?
According to this tweet that's underneath here, it is the Atlantic Voter Engagement Survey, June 28, 2018.
Okay, Atlantic. Give me a second. I'm going to dig up that. I'm going to dig those people up because if I'm not mistaken, if I remember correctly, they're known for a substantial chunk of political bias.
It's hard to find any.
Actually, that's actually the magazine The Atlantic, which is definitely a lefty thing.
Yes, I know.
Their survey. I'm going to look. I want to really before I accept the statistics at face value, I want to look at the questions in their sample.
Go have fun with that.
And where they took the sample. Well, I'm going to do that. It needs to happen.
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my screen for just a second.
What?
I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I want to look something up here.
Yep. I'm going to do a thing here. There we go. The Atlantic 2018 voter engagement survey. Can I get the questions? That's my question. Oh, see, the problem is what they're trying to do right now is pander to the really loud, about 7 to 10%.
I don't trust you, Cora. Go away.
Well,
Oh
there's
God,
the
I don't know if I trust this.
top line version 1, PRI Atlantic. There we go. We got that thing. The challenges of voter knowledge. PRI is a lefty think tank. But yeah. Factcheck.org. Yes, it's happened 5 times.
Yes,
The first time was John Quincy Adams, actually.
Yes, I know. So
Hill number 6.
This was posted on March 24th, but it has been updated since the latest election. So John Quincy Adams in 1824, that is definitely the most corrupt one that I can find historically.
And actually, it's not even corrupt because it wasn't even corrupted because Mr. Jackson failed to achieve the clear majority in the Electoral College, and that's where the whole thing.
That's where the corruption comes in. Is after that he didn't get the majority. Nobody's questioning whether or not he got the majority. What they're calling the corrupt part of it is what happened after the fact when it came to the House of Representatives vote. Because the Speaker of the House made a deal with John Quincy Adams.
But you have to understand, the other thing you need to understand is the Speaker of the House still has that power and will always.
Oh, no, I understand that.
Here's what happened here, and this is kind of where it all came down. Okay, the Speaker of the House is entitled to allow or disallow specific topics. The same thing is happening in the UK right now. And I'll get into that in a couple of minutes. Yes, I know. I'm going to drag it right back to Brexit for 2 seconds. Just stick with me here for a minute, because the guy that's there makes for a really good example, and a modern example as opposed to one from that period from way back in the 1820s. Now, John Quincy Adams, if you go through the 12th Amendment. And actually, the Constitution, the way the methodology that was laid out in the Constitution, if you don't come with enough votes in the Electoral College, in that case 131, and Andrew Jackson did not, then it actually goes to the House, and the House is welcome. The Speaker of the House is welcome to entertain or not any topic that they wish to. Nancy Pelosi right now is not inclined to entertain the Green New Deal, which is a really good thing. It's the one thing that Pelosi has ever done that I would support her on. She's not willing to entertain this in any way, shape, or form. The same is currently going with Theresa May and her insistence on a third vote on the Brexit deal that she cut with the EU, that made the UK essentially a vassal of the EU, including that retarded Irish backstop, which nobody wants except Guy Verhofstadt.
Right. Anyways, House
of Representatives voted Adams into the White House directly using that power, and the next couple of them went the same way.
Well, here's the thing with the Adams one, is that the Speaker of the House was also running for president that election. He lost out. He was the fourth elected, or fourth candidate running. And when you have this type of situation, you have to drop it down to where there's only 3 candidates. And then if it doesn't meet it again, then they go down to the 2 candidates. And what ended up happening is John Quincy Adams decided to talked to I want to say it was Tyler, if I can remember the Speaker of the House at the time. Um, basically, they like, hey, if you can help me get elected the president, I will help you out by giving you a position. And and as the Speaker of the House, he was able to whip his people in line and get them to vote for Adams when they should have, when based on everything, they should have actually awarded it to Jackson. But because I mean, you can see here, Jackson was the populist candidate because he received 38,000 more popular votes than Adams, and even beat him by 15 electoral votes. Now, granted, I understand Jackson didn't get the requisite 131, but they should have, as representatives of the people, they should have done it. So it is what it is. And then you have Rutherford B. Hayes won an election by 1 electoral vote, but he lost the popular vote by more than 250,000 to Samuel Tilden. Benjamin Harrison received 233 electoral votes to Grover Cleveland's 168, but had
by almost 100,000 votes, which at that time was quite a lot.
Oh yeah, I'm not trying to disparage these numbers because I understand the population at the time, and also interestingly enough, foreign nationals could vote in our elections at this point as long as they were citizens of the area of the state that they were in.
Yes.
So
that's because we actually, and it didn't actually come to pass that was removed until the middle of the 20th century when we'd actually managed to completely get from side to side and accepted Hawaii and Alaska.
Yep.
Once there were no real U.S. territories that had any chance of becoming part of the Union, that's when it was locked. That's when everything was just kind of locked down to U.S. citizens only. Puerto Rico and Guam are both American territories.
Yep.
But
here's
they don't give
here's the
for those two cases, they don't give a flying rat's ass about whether or not they can vote. They don't want to deal with taxes.
Yep. So here's the thing with
what's referred to as a shadow senator.
Yeah. So what really stoked most of this is what happened in 2000. I happened to be underway and I didn't do an absentee ballot for this one, so I don't know who I would have voted for because I was literally 19 at the time, so I wasn't too involved in the politics side of civics. But the hanging Chad incident, Al Gore holds the distinction garnering about of winning the popular vote, of having more than 500,000 votes more than Bush.
Mm-hmm.
But Bush won the electoral vote because of the situation in Florida. Now, I seem to remember hearing that Gore conceded after basically all his legal options were done.
Mm-hmm.
So if he conceded, as far as I'm concerned, he gave up, and it's not.
Well,
on
that's
Bush.
what a concession is. It's okay.
I understand.
We're out. I'm out. We're doing it.
But what I'm saying is, as far as using that as an excuse to get rid of the Electoral College, is it wasn't an issue of the actual Electoral College as it was the way Florida was counting their votes, and there was no uniformity in how they were declaring what was a vote and what wasn't a vote for somebody. You know what I mean? So out of all 5 scenarios, there's only one that is a quote unquote issue for Democrats nowadays, and that was the last election, 2016, because Donald Trump flew past the 270. If you get above 300,
he absolutely slammed that 270 marker, and it was very early into the evening when it happened. All right, I forget what his totals actually were.
But yeah, it's but in our voting age, nearly 209 million votes is pretty minuscule as far as a percentage, I would think.
Well, you gotta. Here's one of the things. here's one of the hilarious bits of this, and yeah, everybody can have a nice giggle. Um, shit, where was I going with that? Damn it, my brain just kind of rotted away there for a second. I had a thing. We actually had faithless electors going on. Let's get. I'm just going to grab the final electoral vote total.
Okay.
Real quick, like the actual electoral, the final electoral map.
Oh, for
And there were well over three. There was more than 300 votes for the Trump. He blew the 270 number clear out. It's 360 to 232. Under no circumstances was Hillary going to win that.
oh yeah. Now here's the thing.
Two of their electors did not. Two Texas electors did not cast their actual ballots for him. And history records that it was 300 that he won 304 to 227.
Yeah. Detractors, most of whom are Republicans, who know that the Electoral College favors their candidates and way of life, are sounding off against it. Marco Rubio is right. Hashtag Electoral College was a work of genius by the founders. It requires candidates for president to earn votes from various parts of the country, and it makes sure interests of less populated areas aren't ignored at the expense of the densely populated areas. And that's one of two remarks that he made.
And that was exactly what the founding fathers were trying for, because at that time, Philadelphia and New York City could have in a direct vote, which is what they're actually pushing for. Philadelphia and New York City by themselves could have not only have won elections, but absolutely set policy going forward.
Oh yeah,
and that way lies tyranny.
Yep, and that's just it. Is people don't understand. I won't say that they don't understand. They just don't accept the wisdom in the Electoral College in and of itself because
they didn't get the thing they want.
Exactly.
They didn't get the thing they want, and therefore it's time to change the rules. Really, time to change the rules hard, and we can't do that. Bravo took a stand against the vulgar popular vote. And oh, by the way, that snide aside there for you, that was really low.
This one right here?
That one there, yes. Never mind the vulgar electoral vote gave us our current president. There's not it. You guys are out there in left.
Do I have that engaged right now? Let's see here. I'll have to check my add-ons later because I don't think this article has a comment section. I might have to use Dissenter.
Okay. Now, if you scroll down just a little bit, accurate historically factual reading of how the Electoral College came to be. Check out an op-ed from February.
Ooh, let's check that op-ed really quick.
Yeah, let's, because to be perfectly honest with you, compromise was the order of the day at the time. They were trying to get something done. They weren't just trying. They weren't standing. They weren't standing. They hadn't picked. They didn't want to have to pick a hill to die on. They were trying to get the job done in a way that would be attractive to everyone.
Politics, history, and culture. Well, let's get more about you.
Come on,
based in Charlottesville, Virginia. The Washington.
Washington.
I'm assuming that's DC.
Before that, he was the chief. Yes, Washington D.C. Before that, he was the chief political correspondent for Slate. We don't talk about Slate. Slate is hot garbage, and has been for years. They're so left that even Hillary Clinton's going, damn. We don't.
American Prospect in the National Magazine. Okay.
The Nation magazine.
Yeah,
That's again. What we're talking about is a superior lefty.
Yep. So now I'm not going to hold that against him because I haven't actually read his article yet. I'll read that on my own time. I'll post a link to it later.
Yeah,
but
toss it in the.
But here's the thing: is I don't care how accurate or historically factual you find the reading. Doesn't mean that the person who wrote it provided that much fact or anything. It could be using their own bias, presenting it as fact. And I think that's
likely they are.
And that's the thing about op-ed pieces that bother me. So, the Electoral College.
Well, if you're citing an op-ed from anywhere, there's the largest likelihood that it's really no better than a blog post from Joe Dorkface down the street. Really.
And that's just it. Is I take to my posts, my blogs, my podcasts, etc., as just that. It's my opinion. Nobody has to do it. Even if I cram it full of fact and say this is my opinion on the fact, doesn't mean that that my opinion is right. You know, it might be more educated than others.
But an opinion as a matter of course is subject to is in fact subject to the reader, to not only the bias of the reader but the bias of the writer.
Yep.
It is that by definition.
And this word right here is the key word that nobody gets on the left. They call us a democracy, and we are not. We are a democratic republic, as you pointed out earlier.
Actually, technically, we're a federal republic. We're actually a federation that uses democratic means for which to do the things it does. We are actually a federation.
It's like our founding fathers looked at civilizations around them and copied it and tweaked it to suit their needs.
Well, the overwhelming majority of the founding fathers looked at the way things were being done in other countries at that time and went, no, we're not going to do that.
I'm talking about Ben Franklin and the Iroquois Nation, their federation that they used. And if this is the most asinine sentence in this article or this blog post, I don't know what else is.
Who the hell is Ariana Grande, and why does she matter?
She is a actress / singer from Nickelodeon.
Seriously?
So, yes.
She's not even
she's not even Disney caliber.
Who actually wrote this story? We mentioned it earlier, but I've actually forgotten, and I don't have it on hand.
W.M. Stephen Humphrey.
William Stephen Humphrey. Is Ariana Grande really the hill you want to die on? Is that the hill that needs to be defended? I think you need a reality check, pal. All right, now let's go. We've already taken this guy apart. He needs a more detailed ripping. But I think I will probably forward that to Sargon and let him do it.
So let's go to the semi approval. Here's the again, this is an opinion section, but don't kill the Electoral College, just make it work better.
Okay, now, first off, I have my own issues with the Clinton News Network.
I understand.
And yes, I chose that specific hill to die on for a reason.
I understand. I'm not arguing. I'm just saying that this person takes a little bit better approach to the Electoral College than Elizabeth.
And at least this one, at least in this case, it's been admitted to be opinion. It really has.
Yes, it is.
It's
And
admittedly
they acknowledge it. Yep. Of the 3 American presidents who took office since the beginning of the 21st century, only Barack Obama has won the support of a majority of voters when first elected. George W. Bush and Donald Trump both lost popular votes, but nevertheless emerged victorious in the Electoral College. As the 2020 election cycle dawns, it's no surprise that our ongoing national debate over the Electoral College has resumed once again. It never died. In fact, on the
honestly, the Electoral College, here's a fun little side note for you. The Electoral College has always been the subject of debate. I don't object to the debate. I just think the way they're going about it right this minute is particularly retarded. If you want to talk about it by all means.
Agreed.
You know, make your arguments and see if they stand up to scrutiny. And I will say that for any topic, literally, well, almost literally.
Oh yeah, there are some topics that,
for example, pedophilia is wrong. It destroys people that could have otherwise been useful. That could have been great members of society, or if not for the fact that some adult individual decided to press themselves on a child sexually.
Yes,
this is a bad thing.
Yep. In fact, on the first day of the new Congress, a representative introduced a constitutional amendment. I think it's HR 1. By Steve Cohen.
Yes. I believe it was HR 1, sir. Let me just check that real quick.
And it to provide for the direct popular election of presidents and vice presidents. The amendment is highly unlikely to be ratified, but given our recent history, it isn't particularly surprising that the concept is generally quite popular with the public. Even Elizabeth Warren has joined the fray. Just this week during a CNN town hall, she endorsed the idea of eliminating the Electoral College in an effort to make sure that, quote, every voice matters, end quote.
The thing is that every voice does actually matter.
Mm-hmm. It's just...
Or it's damn near all of them.
Yes, and that's, again, this comes down to what I was talking about earlier, is that they seem to think that in the larger states, like California and New York, the ones with the huge population densities, that their vote counts less because they're dividing their vote into all of the electoral votes for their state instead of just their one congressional district and 2 senators. In which case, everybody's vote is equal. Imagine that. It's amazing how when you apply mathematics.
All right, I actually have the text of HR 1.
Oh, do you?
Yes, I actually found not only that, I found it in PDF form.
Oh yeah.
So let me just grab this. Let me just grab this for you. I'll drop it in the side chat. That is pretty much only for that purpose at this point. There you go. You can have that. It's going to take me a minute to get it loaded up, though. Oh, here it goes. It's 706 pages. Wow. And some of it is forms. So, and it was read the second time and placed on the calendar on the 14th of this month.
I know. And it won't be actually, I agree that it will not pass the test of time to get posted.
Well, it probably wouldn't even pass. It probably won't even pass a constitutional challenge, which is what's actually going to happen. Which is actually what's going to happen.
Yeah,
it will be challenged. That's all there is to it.
All of it will be. So, yes, I want to go to congress.gov. No. So, anyways,
right, I'm going to go ahead and download this here real quick.
Oh, it actually got read into the Senate. Wow. I'm really surprised. But yes, I'm not surprised that it's 706 pages long. Most anything nowadays is, if it's under 500 pages, nobody bothers to read it.
Well, they don't bother to read even if it's larger than that.
Shush, you're not supposed to let out the secrets of Congress. The goal is unassailable. The premise is certainly appealing to this in its simplicity. But upon closer inspection, it turns out that the electoral system that incentivizes candidates to engage in different demographic and geographical swaths of the country still serves as a compelling purpose today as it did in 1787. Ooh, somebody who actually.
Yep.
Now, granted, I'm going to tell you, he thinks that the system could be overhauled, and one of his.
You know what? If he could come up with an overhaul method that actually fucking works, then I'd be completely okay with that.
Well, here's
just eliminating it in favor of a popular vote will restrict the actual voting pool immeasurably.
Okay. Now, I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase because there is it is an opinion piece and it is full of fluff. I will go over that, but I want to read this paragraph here first before we jump down. It is a mistake to argue that the direct popular election of presidents is an obvious and unassailable solution for our electoral problem. It isn't. As alluringly simple as it may be, such a change would have a dramatic impact on our national politics and would open a Pandora's box of problems, some of which could be quite serious. Instead, states ought to adopt an alternative approach to reform that allocates electoral votes on a proportional basis. That's his compromise, which I would agree with.
No, I don't take issue with that either. In fact, that's the way a lot of states do it.
No, it's not.
Not all the states, but
no.
Not all
there's
the states.
There's only 2 states that do this.
There's more than a few.
No, there's not.
Really?
There's only 2. Nebraska and Maine.
Do tell. All right.
All the other states are a winner take all approach. Yeah, there is no constitutional requirement mandating that the winner take all approach that most states use today. This Electoral College 2.0 would improve the legitimacy of our process by encouraging more Americans to participate by incentivizing candidates to campaign more broadly and across the country. That's the thing. That's my whole argument to this is that we don't need to overhaul and get rid of the system in the sense of just blow it up and start with popular vote. It is literally we just need to make it proportional because I guarantee you if we did that, just say we enacted that here in Washington State, okay? I guarantee you because if I remember correctly, the way it is proportioned is we would have, let's see, we got 12 electoral votes. I think 4 of those electoral votes would come from the eastern side of the state, if not 5. I think there's 5 congressional districts over. Yeah.
You know what? Let me look at that. I will check that real quick. You keep talking. I'll check that.
Yeah. So, anyways, the point that I would make is that if say it was 4, that's a third of our electoral votes that could have gone to Trump because I almost wholeheartedly think that a majority of the counties. Actually, if you could look up how the counties voted, that would be even better. Because if I remember correctly,
it's. Let me do this thing here.
I'm going for a high IQ internet search here. Look how many tabs I have open.
Oh, yeah, no shit. We don't talk about what's going on mine.
Anyways, if I remember looking at it correctly, all with the exception of Thurston, I want to say Grace Harbor, Thurston, Pierce, King, and Skagit counties, and maybe even Whatcom County, predominantly voted red. They voted for Trump. But because the more popular cities and towns are in those counties I listed, and Spokane County voted blue as well. Just think of how quickly we could have flipped that around as a state. You know what I mean?
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. We're looking at 5. 5 districts from the Cascades East.
Yeah. So
that assumes that the 2 for the senators don't agree with either side.
Yeah.
we would have had a minimum of five electors go to the Republic that would typically go conservative rather than Seattle's or Seattle. Well, yeah, rather than the blue of Seattle.
Yeah. So
But Seattle but Seattle in and of itself has a larger population than Spokane and Tacoma combined.
yes.
And we don't talk about we don't we don't talk about the others. Let's see. As to congressional districts,
I want by county though. Oh, maybe if I can do it by.
all
There we
right.
go. So here we go. By congressional district. So 1, 2, 3.
I'm actually going to do. Hold on. And I don't want images. I want all results. Thank you. Live map by county. I got the live. I actually have the county map up. So, and this one's actually from Politico. So it's meh.
So yeah, because if you look at this, I don't think they're going directly by congressional district.
I want the actual map. They're not. Well, they're not. If you look at it county by county, the numbers were much closer than you'd think.
Oh yeah, no, I agree because look, because I know for a
I'm
fact
actually looking for a map here, and they didn't do that. There's Pacific County went mostly to Trump. Del County, Okanagan. Where's Pierce County? Ooh, Pierce County doesn't seem to be where. Pierce County is not where I expect it to be. I don't know how they did this. Oh, there's the map itself. You actually wound up with.
See, look, here's the map that I got for the entire nation, county by county. That is a lot of
There's
red.
a lot more red on it than you would. Here, where'd it go? I don't. Oh, wait. I need to. Yeah, that's a lot of freaking red. And if this was actually done, even just done by congressional districts, you're going to find that that large the little bits of blue that we're talking about here wouldn't amount to very much.
Nope. And
they really wouldn't.
And here's the thing: is ultimately I agree with his assessment, the CNN op-ed writer, because the proposal here from these people, though the national popular vote, is that the purpose of this is that the national popular vote interstate compact will go into effect after they have enough 270 to meet the requirement, but it requires that all the electoral votes of the states that support it go to the candidate that receives the popular vote in all 50 states. Now, here's the thing. Say that Donald Trump does get the popular vote. You've now just secured him the presidency. Even if the winner take all system that we're currently using would have handed it to whoever the Democratic candidate would be. Do you have any idea how quickly that would kill this popular vote idea?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. Because you look at the county by county breakdown that you saw, that you're looking at there, and then work it, and then kind of work it down. Look at the spots that are actually hard blue. Those are the people those are the folks that would be deciding who the president was every stinking time.
I was wrong. It was Jefferson County, not Grace Harbor County, that was blue.
Actually, the one I saw that was strictly blue was Island County from Politico.
Here you go. Look at my screen.
Give me a second.
Jefferson County right here.
Yep. Island County as well, up above that.
Oh yeah. But yeah, this I-5
County
corridor
went
right
really
here.
hard. And actually, not even the entire I-5 corridor.
I'm talking about this section of the I-5
largest
corridor.
Yeah, right down through the middle of King and Pierce counties. I would expect King County to do what it did.
Oh yeah.
Because you're talking about where Seattle exists.
Yep.
Pierce County looks to have been on this map at least, and that's actually the Wikipedia edition.
Yep.
Let me see.
Ah. My dad's county not quite as red as I thought it would be. But Eugene's county, Lane County right here, yeah, that's not surprising. Salem's in this area here. Wow. Went a little more red than I thought it would.
Quite a bit more red when you think about it.
Not surprised about this area of California here because this is literally the ruralist section of the county or the state there.
Mm-hmm.
All the way down to the San Joaquin Valley.
The overwhelming majority of Pennsylvania. All the rural spaces in Pennsylvania went to the conservative, and there's actually, funnily enough, a reason for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a question of safety. It's actually a question of cities and safety, cities, bubbles, and safety.
Yep.
In the middle of the city, most people wouldn't need a gun. They have cops within 3 minutes, typically. There's at least one cop within a couple of minutes of wherever the hell it is you might happen to be. But on the flip side, you have more you actually out in rural areas where you don't necessarily have a large police presence. You're going to see many more conservatives because they know they have to protect themselves. They don't necessarily have a cop right there on the corner. They can go, so they can scream and go, ah!
Pretty much.
Okay. But when you get into cities, you get that sense of safety, and then you wind up in the middle of political bubbles. And the bubbles change based on which city you're talking about. But the larger the city, generally, the more likely, and the more it's actually growing at that particular point in time, the more likely you're going to find Democrats. You're going to find
how they don't have
the more likely. I know, right? What's up with that? That's because Alaska, I think, only gets 3 electoral votes itself.
Yeah, but so does Wyoming, Idaho, Montana.
Well, there are actually quite some spaces here where chunks of maps are missing completely.
So,
Montana, North and South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho's only got 4, but the 4 states up north there, Montana, the Dakotas, and Wyoming, they're 4 apiece. And then Colorado is 9. Alaska is only good for 3, and I believe, don't quote me on this, but I believe Hawaii is good for 4. Yeah, Hawaii is good for 4.
Montana,
it's kind of
North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, 3.
Yeah, they all have 3, and that's because those states are mostly wild still. Same is true of Alaska. The overwhelming majority of the landmass of Alaska is not settled, and generally speaking, can't be settled. There are places that are settled in Alaska. You can't get there except by plane. You see, can't get there from here. Actually, is actually a thing. But if you look at the major population centers, you're going to find a larger proportion of well, they think of themselves as liberals, and in fact, most of them are going hard authoritarian, which bugs me as well.
I'm downloading a new PDF. I will send you the link.
Oh, please do.
I will be keeping this stream up separate. I'm going to combine the two streams just so that way the chat will stay available for people.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. I'm going to grab that. 9 responses to myths about the compact. Ooh.
It's not 9 responses. This is all the different. This material is from chapter 9 of Every Vote Equal. Ooh, we'll have to check them out later too.
Yeah, it's going to require, that'll require a whole nother live stream. And I'm not sure we really want to do that right now because we're already running out towards this 3-hour mark. We should probably get our butts moving.
Yeah, but anyways,
I don't know about anybody else, but I've still got some games to review. So
yeah, screw games; they're not important.
32 pages. It depends on what your channel's about.
432 pages.
I play games. Don't get me wrong. I plan on reading the whole thing. There's 432 pages worth of this.
Well, here, let's cover that first myth. Myth about the U.S. Constitution. Myth: a federal constitution amendment is necessary with the change of the current model for electing the president. Do they give?
That's actually going to be a mixed bag. It's going to depend entirely upon whether or not this stunt they're pulling works, and whether or not they're going to be able to defend it in front of the Supreme Court.
Well, here,
because if they can't defend it in front of the Supreme Court, it won't work at all.
Let's see if they have their
making it, and they will have to do this way.
Okay, so myth 9.1.1. A federal constitutional amendment is necessary for changing the current method of electing the president. Quick answer: the U.S. Constitution gives the states the quote exclusive end quote and quote plenary end quote power to choose the method of awarding their votes, their electoral votes. True.
Neither one of these words actually appears in the text.
I know, but I'm just saying that.
So those quotes are bullshit. Like your scare quotes are bullshit.
I know, but they're not wrong. They're just wrong in quoting the words. So the short
right is still the best kind of right.
Oh, I understand.
You don't put quote marks in there if it's not in text.
The shortcomings of the current system of electing the president stem from the state winner-take-all statutes that award all states' electoral votes to candidates who receive the most popular votes in each separate state.
That's easy to fix. Make it all proportional.
Exactly. The state-by-state winner-take-all method of awarding the electoral votes is not in the U.S. Constitution, and it was not debated at the Constitutional Convention. It is not discussed in the Federalist Papers. Okay, that's not the point.
Also correct.
The winner-take-all rules was used in only 3 states in the nation's first presidential election in 1789, all of which abandoned by the 1800. The founders were dead for decades before the... Well, that's not entirely true, but... the founders were dead for decades before the winner-take-all rule became the predominant method of awarding electoral votes. No, there were still some founding fathers.
Sidebar, Your Honor. Just for the record here, even then, the difference between that and the thing that they're trying to, and the stuff they're pulling now, is that it was still based state to state, not based on what the popular vote was nationwide. Big difference.
Yep.
Huge difference.
Maine and Nebraska currently award electoral votes by congressional district. A reminder that the method of awarding electoral votes is a state decision. Yep.
Again, sidebar. This is a right. This is a right that you are demanding to be removed.
Yep.
your little compact here. That's actually a thing. And it says that you're going to take it away. You're going to take that away. You're going to take even that methodology off the fucking table. The individual states won't matter anymore. Okay, carry on.
Oh, I decided to click on their context here, or their detailed answer. God, yeah, I'll link to the entire the vote or their myth section as well. But
Yep. Do
the
that.
traditional appropriate way of changing the method of electing the presidents is by a means of a federal They're repeating the same thing.
Yes, this is the same myth repeated. And if you want to make a major change to the Constitution, if you want to make a significant change to the Constitution, you must do this by amendment, especially when you're talking about changing the balance of power.
The National Popular Vote Compact
The
would
national
preserve the
popular, actually, believe it or not, that's wrong. It would
exactly.
not. They're technically okay. Let me rephrase that. They're technically correct. And yes, I just said a little bit ago that's the best kind of correct, but they are effectively bypassing it. They're setting it up so that the popular vote, a direct popular vote, is what would get them the number of electoral votes rather than any other thing, and it dictates how the states may do things.
Exactly.
That's wrong. You don't do it that way. What you're doing here is taking an run around the Constitution. And if you're going to accuse Mr. Trump of doing that by declaring a national emergency for a wall on our southern border, then we get to call you out for this, Mr. and Mrs. Hypocrite.
Here's the thing. Under their third quick answer. Under the National Popular Vote Plan, the states would retain their exclusive and plenary power to choose the method of awarding their electoral votes, including the option to make changes in the future.
See,
that's not how you're presenting it, though.
But their agreement doesn't even say that. Their agreement says you'll do this based on that.
The National Popular Vote Bill is a state legislation, not a federal constitutional amendment. As such, it would not, and indeed could not, change the structure of the Electoral College as specified in the U.S. Constitution. Instead, the National Popular
Except
Vote...
that it does
I understand.
Except that it does exactly that thing. It makes the Electoral College a useless, literally a useless object. It would have to be removed or reinforced.
The National Popular Vote Instead, the National Popular Vote Bill would change the method by which the states award their electoral votes in the Electoral College. The National Popular Vote Bill uses the Constitution's built-in state-based power for changing the method of awarding the electoral votes, namely Section 1 of Article 2 of the Constitution, and repeating bullshit again. And another citation.
Well, honestly, at this point, I'm even with their citation, and I know where they're going with that. It's still citation needed. They don't actually have an argument.
They've cited the same thing twice now with two different citation notes. So, the manner of appointment of the presidential electors is specified in Clause 3 of Article 3 of the National Popular Votes Compact. The presidential elector certifying official of each member state shall certify the appointment in the official's own state of the elector's slate nominated in the state in association with the National Popular Vote winner.
Except that that's not actually how it's done now anyway. It's done by the individual parties. The individual parties put the slate up, and that's the way it works, and that's the way it's been working.
I understand that. This is what their actual compact states is what they're quoting.
Mm-hmm.
So it does in fact negate the power of the Electoral College and what it represents. Oh God, these are...
Okay. 9.1.6 is bullshit on its face. Because it wasn't just rejected; it was that the thing that they're talking about a direct election wasn't just rejected by the Constitutional Convention, the constitutional Anyway, by the Constitutional Convention, it was brought up once and never spoken of again. they didn't even really want to consider a direct popular vote, and that's because there was going to be. That's because they're seeing the problems, the exact problems that would come out of this issue, would come out of this national popular vote thing. It's and again going back. I have to go back to the UK. This quote unquote people's vote everybody's been talking about, a second referendum. That's just, I didn't win. I didn't get the results I wanted. Can I have another one, please?
Yep. It's the EU's favorite way to get what they want. Referendum after referendum after referendum.
What that is fuck off time. Go away. We did this once. We're not doing it again. Move along.
Yep. But anyways, this is just the first myth that they're breaking down into multiple, basically questions that people have had. Wow.
Give me 9.1.10 again. We'll scroll that down a little bit. Fuck the one ahead of it. We already covered that one. A quick answer. The argument the National Popular Vote Compact violates the guarantee clause based on an interpretation of the clause not supported by the clause. Okay, the guarantee clause was actually very clear on
the guarantee clause of the
not incompatible. A Republican form of government, yes, and that's because a republic is strictly speaking not a direct election. You don't do direct elections by means of Republican in a Republican government. You always have some sort of a filter to make sure that everybody gets that all the states, including the ones that are least populated, get some sort of get some sort of hearing. And 9.1.9 is really just a rundown of the same thing.
Oh, I know. I'm just reading it. Written in the Patriot Action Network, and refers to former U.S. Fred R. Thompson and 20 as well as supports the National Popular Vote Compact, which effectively cuts the Electoral College and ends the Republic as we know it. With the National Popular Vote method, we will no longer be a republic, but a democracy. A democracy is one thing that the Founding Fathers feared the most. Of anything else, every democracy in the history of the world has devolved into tyranny. Democracy is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. The Founding Fathers knew that and made every effort to prevent the U.S. from slipping into the abyss. As Franklin said, this is a republic. If you can keep it, the National Popular Vote Compact will end the republic. Wait, what? I'm trying to figure out where Franklin comes into this, unless they're talking about Ben Franklin.
They may be talking. Yeah, I believe that's exactly what they're talking about. Now, much as I'm thoroughly prepared to criticize the shit out of Zen, he does, in fact, make a very strong point.
Oh, yeah. Federalist Paper number 10, James Madison, frequently called the father of the Constitution, said the difference between a democracy and republic are first the delegation of the government in the latter to the small number of citizens elected by the rest. Secondly, the greater number of citizens in the greater sphere of the country, over which the latter may be extended.
Mm-hmm. Again, two wolves and a sheep deciding on what's for dinner.
Yep.
I guarantee that sheep loses every go-ram time.
Oh, pretty much. Pretty much. So I'm going to go back to the answers page here. Copy and paste that in the link, and that will go in my description. I have a lot of links to include in the description.
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. We actually managed to come up with a load of stuff here.
Oh, yeah. And literally, this is just really you and me shooting the shit on the topic and trying to figure out what could work best. Ultimately agreeing with what the CNN op-ed writer was saying, which is proportionalize it, which I don't have a problem with, because that's what the whole point of our government is.
Agreeing with it, See, and that's what I find terrifying. Usually, CNN contributors they make me want to vomit. This one here seems to have at least half a brain cell that works, and I'm good with that.
Hold on.
If the brain cell is working, then we're okay.
Let me go over here. Wait, no. Let's go over here. Go to the shit posters part of your Discord. Mark it on the calendar at flatline agrees with a CNN contributor.
Yeah.
Oh, I had to.
Yes, that's right. You did, and I won't knock you for it. I'll even admit to that. I've already admitted to it, but thrice in the last 2 minutes. Yeah, he's over on my Discord right now talking shit about me, and I don't care.
Myths about the Voting Rights Act. Oh God, that will be. Oh, that could get ugly really quick with me. All right,
myths about what?
9.20 myths about the Voting Rights Act.
The Voting Rights Act. Which one is that?
1964, the Voting Rights Act.
No, I'm looking at your thing here. Myths about faceless electors. Ooh, woot. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolute majorities of the breakdown. You know what? Honestly, if the breakdown of the if the two-party system devolved into something a little wider, I would not object. I don't actually have a problem with that. But that being said, you have everybody has the right to start their own political party.
Yep.
Including the guy I liked here recently called Good Space Guy in the 2018 elections.
Oh yeah.
He was running for the Senate. I thought, and I'm going,
he got my vote.
Dude, let's send that guy. I want to send that guy. Can we send that guy now?
Unfortunately, he didn't make it out of the primary.
Well, to be perfectly honest with you, he wasn't going to, and he freaking well knew it. But
oh yeah, he does it every year or every election.
It gets his ideas out there, and that's not a bad thing.
I know.
It's really not.
I've seriously considered throwing my hat in the ring for Senate and representative. It's just one, money. Two, you have to have something that the community that you're running for can get behind. And if you don't have that and you don't have the budget to spend on, you're done. I mean, I could probably start a grassroots movement here on YouTube, presenting my stuff and having it geared directly towards my local.
The overwhelming majority of your constituency isn't going to see your shit here on YouTube. It's just not going to happen. How many subscribers you got now?
I've only got 66.
Oh, well, you have more than I thought you did. I was thinking the last I saw you had like 50 or 60. You had fewer than 50 was the last time I actually looked at your subscriber numbers.
Oh yeah.
But 50 or 60 people isn't going to help you.
Nope.
And you could stand up in front of YouTube all day, every day, yelling about your ideas, and no one that you know is going to hear it, or nobody that would be voting. The chances of anybody, excuse me, that's not. I know
what you're talking about.
Let me step back from that and make myself a tad more clear. The chances that anybody that you need to reach finding this information is damn near zero.
And the funny thing is if I were to run just solely on my principles, which is what a politician should be doing, not just their platforms, but their merit and why they should be elected, I would be drummed off of YouTube rather quickly and be labeled as far right when I'm left of center, you know. And that's because
here's the thing.
That's because if I were to go with
here's the catch with that. The far right, as far as your average intersectional retard is concerned, starts with Lenin.
I know.
Anybody that Overton right of Lenin is a stinking Nazi. Seriously, you
I'm
are
well
the
aware of that.
extreme far right if you're not if you are not left of if you are not severely left of Lenin.
Yep. But in all honesty, I could have one of the best ideas for solving whatever the issue is, say of congressional district, what is now congressional district 10, which is South Mason County and all of Thurston County.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that I could solve like the port problems. I can help get things taken care of. They wouldn't. I could help try and keep, you know, JBLM soldiers living in our area, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? But it's not going to matter because of the simple fact that I oppose things that they do at Evergreen, and they'll
Mm-hmm.
protest me left and right all day long, which will get the rest of Olympia to do it. I could have all the votes from Mason County, but if I don't have any votes from Thurston County, I'm screwed.
Yeah, well, you'd have to take Thurston County, and you'd have to take the overall majority of Thurston County, and on top of Mason County to actually come up with the votes you needed for a win.
Yep.
And then you'd probably only get about you'd probably beat your opponent out by 0.5%, which leads us back to the Dino Rossi Christine Gregoire thing of many months ago.
Yeah, don't get me started on that one.
Well,
Our own
to be
Bush
heard,
Gore thing.
yeah, yeah, don't get me started on that either. I didn't get the results I want. You got to do it again. Yay! I got the results I want. We can stop now.
Oh wait, nope.
And
No,
Rossi's just like, I don't care anymore. He figured he'd wait. He'd try and take Gregoire again later. And the problem, of course, is that Gregoire took this state from a significant surplus into the depths of hell.
Oh yeah.
Financially, Christine Gregoire spent money like a drunken freaking sailor. And since we were both sailors, we would know how bad money goes around when we're drunk.
Here we go. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking at your face currently. So
I know you are.
and probably the rest of the universe too. They don't see mine because I don't turn my. I'm not going to turn that. I'm not going to activate the electronics behind the lens. I don't want
to. So the last Republican elected governor of Washington was John Spellman.
I don't even remember that guy.
Who served one 4-year term as governor following his 1980 election.
Oh God, I was what? That was for me between the ages of 8 and 12, and I was only in the country for part of that time.
He lost his bid for a second term to Democrat Booth Gardner, November of 1984.
We don't talk about Gardner, and we definitely don't want to talk about Locke.
I didn't have too much. Again, I was a teenager in high school, so I didn't have too much of an opinion on Locke. But he gave me a whole reason to break down some of my school.
What?
Governor Locke was coming to look at their school for some reason because we're such a small school. We get overlooked by a lot of things, and it was my senior year in woodshop. My senior year in woodshop, and we're outside breaking apart the steps off of the emergency exit for the cafeteria, and to put in a ramp basically is what we were doing. And the principal and superintendent come out seeing us do this. The superintendent knew what we were doing because he told our teacher to do that. The principal didn't know, and so we're here ripping up with axes and pry bars and stuff, the steps, and she's like, what the fuck are you doing, swearing at us the whole time. It was pretty funny.
I can imagine. Oh, wow.
And it was like 3 weeks after this is when he was coming in. So we took our measurements, we did what we had to, and got everything switched up, because we still allowed for steps, but we also had a ramp that went off of it too, to get people out of the way. So
you still had to get your shit squared away before the governor showed up. And go, why is this not up to state code? because that's a real quick way to lose your funding. Speaking of funding, it looks like Evergreen is going to get boned here pretty quick, more than they already are.
Oh yeah.
Because not only is their enrollment down, but they're having some more issues with. They're having some federal level issues now too.
Well, it's because they're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing.
Well, they were doing that beforehand, and they had been doing so since they were doing it during the Clinton administration. They backed off during Bush the second's administration, and then they went ape shit during the Obama administration. Now Trump's got a good nose for it, and he's got his head together. This shit ain't flying.
Okay, so before we close this up, because this is
we're over
crazy.
We're over the 3-hour mark, and we should probably shut this down and come back to it another day.
Oh, we will. But this is the equal vote, every vote equal plan that the one national vote or one popular vote, whatever, national popular vote site references, right?
Yeah.
You can download the book for free, right?
Ooh.
There are 15 forewords.
15?
15.
And then what people are saying is, really, you want testimony? Why are you putting that in the front end of the book? Can we do that? Can we put that in the back where it goes? What people are saying, you don't need to. That's the shit you put in. Have you people ever written an actual book?
Oh, yeah. Notice this though. Buy the book from Amazon for $4.95, or I could just come directly to your site, and I can just come to your site and download the book.
Download a copy. Give me a shit. I don't know. 1,118 pages. What the hell did they do? I'm betting the first 600 of them are just freaking people are just them being. It's probably going to take the first 600-700 pages just to get the forwards out of the way.
Yep.
One forward. One.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 authors for it. 15 forewords. RNI, so must have been Republican that made it independent. Oh, there's actually Republicans that support this.
A few, but most of the words. Ray Hayes, I don't know what the hell he thinks he's doing. California's going to vote him right the hell out. Or would have.
Oh,
I don't think
this is the 4th edition of it.
4th.
Oh, God.
Hey, Steph.
I bet you. I wouldn't be surprised if this was started by some Republicans for the loss of Romney, for when Romney lost to Obama in 2012. But I don't know. It might be worth a read.
We're talking about McCain. Romney didn't get the popular vote either. It's entirely possible it was done for the Clinton administration. You're talking about the 4th edition. I'm looking at the likelihood this was a much earlier situation. Oh wow.
Started 1st edition 2006. That would have been.
So now we're talking
during the
time of George II.
Yep, with John Kerry.
Yep. And it was probably mostly Democrats.
Yep. So, but anyways,
wow, my internet connection is being stupid. 12.5 megabytes shouldn't take this long. Just wow. And they only did one printing of the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th editions. I would love to see what the original printing of the 1st edition, who actually did the thing.
Oh yeah,
I'd love to know. This is I want to know. what was in it, because I'd be willing to bet that over that 7 years, it's been changed by a massive degree.
Oh, I'm sure it has. I wonder if I can find a first print edition on Amazon.
You might could.
So
I still want one of those make oral fiction again hats. Because I'm sorry, that says much more about the state of the world now than "Make America Great Again" ever would. Next time we do one of those, we both need one of those hats. We both need one of these hats, but you should wear yours since you're actually on the camera.
Oh yeah,
and who knows, maybe since I've said as much as I have about where I'm at and who I am, I might as well just appear on camera next time.
Well, I
never mind that I need to hanging up behind me.
I never expect anybody else to be on camera when it comes to streams, because that's your choice. I'll give you the option if you want to, but I never expect anybody to. So,
well, I don't typically, because the avatar is way cool, is way cuter than I will ever be or have ever been. Looks much better. Won't break nearly as many screens. And B, I don't have one of those hats.
I can attest to all of those answers by him too. Last time he appeared on my screen, it almost broke.
Yeah.
But
just what is you gonna my office? You're gonna have to come up here. We'll hang out in my office and do this thing, because that's gonna be some really fun shit.
Oh, I can bring up stuff. We could definitely do that. I have separate mics. I have the mixer. We can do it all. And now that the mixer has the updated firmware, I can do a mix. I can have.
See, here's the fun part. I'm actually got a table right here behind me that whilst it needs cleared off a bit, we can actually set up chairs on the other side of the table. A table right there, and the computer's not even 5 feet away.
Yeah, we're actually going to. Actually, this spring, I'm going to be getting out our guest bedroom, and we have a futon that's a lot smaller. I might put it up against the wall. Like the bed comes towards me this way, I might rotate the futon up against the back wall and give me a little bit more room behind me, because that's how far away I am.
Yeah, I know you can touch that wall. I can't touch the. I can touch the wall directly to my left, and that's it.
I can touch the wall to
my
right. I have
to reach past my computer to get there.
So, but this is.
You can touch the wall behind you. Not a good thing either. But I cannot make contact with any of the other walls. And behind me, the nearest wall, the nearest actual wall is on the north side of the house.
What's funny is where I live, the street is actually, if this is north, the streets are angled like this. So,
yeah, dude, you just have to, for here, you just have to freaking guess.
Well, I could. Well, you live in a more rural area, but I could figure it out.
The street actually faces north, and I'm pretty sure I gave you an address. So,
you have.
If I didn't, I will
write it down.
Well,
we kind of Googled it, but yeah. Anyways, it's been fun. We'll finish this up. We'll finish the conversation later.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, because we're actually getting time for school to be out, so I'm gonna need to deal with that here soon.
All right.
All right.
So next time I'm going to be talking about the what was I going to say? The manifesto, which I do have a copy of as well.
Well, I actually have the video too, and I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to. And apparently, the video itself gives us quite a bit of context in terms of what the hell actually went down.
Oh yeah, I'm well aware of that. I haven't had a chance to download it, but I have watched it. So,
I can get, if you need a copy, I can either put it on. I can put it in a place where you can get it, or if you need, I can give you the file I used to get it.
No,
sure.
I will contact you if I want it. We'll go from there.
Well, actually, what we should, you know what I think we should do in that case? I think we should actually both sit down over freaking on the Discord, and just sit down and watch it ourselves once through, and then go back and figure out the bits we want to comment on, and then go forward from that point.
Well, like I said, I'm focusing more on his manifesto than the actual video because the manifesto provides more
Well,
insight into him as a person and his thoughts than the actual video does.
and the video has context, and that's a thing that is should be looked at.
Oh, I agree,
But we'll,
definitely.
we'll you know, this conversation is the wrong damn time. This is one we can take care of later.
Yep.
We're at the 3 hour and about 15-minute mark, so we kind of want to. We're gonna want.
Wrap it up.
We're gonna want all people that will ever watch this not to have to waste not to have to spend any more time than strictly necessary.
Yep. Alrighty, so we'll catch you guys later. Like I said, I'm gonna combine my two streams together, but I will leave them up in case there's anything in the chats that people will want to get access to, as well as I'll be putting the links in the description. So, with that, I'm not even gonna bother with outro music today. We're just gonna catch you guys later. Squirrel, do you have anything coming up this weekend?
Yeah, we're actually doing. I'm actually going to be playing some Night Team 4, NITE Team 4. It's a hacker game that I was looking at on Tuesday. I want to see if I can't talk to folks from that made the game into passing along the tools to make new stuff. Because it's a $60 tool, and I don't. And much as I'd love to show it to you guys, I definitely don't have that kind of money. If I had that kind of money, I'd be working my way towards a new damned headset, a headset that actually works.
Yeah.
These headphones are a pain. Not only are these headphones a pain, but the microphone that came with them is absolutely freaking worthless. I'm stuck with this damn web camera for outbound audio, and that's not a good day.
Let me talk to my wife. I think we have an extra headset around that neither one of us uses. I might be able to hook you up.
And then we do the GoFundMe to actually get a proper audio rig in here.
Yes, I highly recommend the Rodecaster. The thing I got because of this reason alone.
The soundboard rules. I
didn't get a chance to use that on you today.
No. Well, it's because I wasn't actually making stupid arguments, or at least I wasn't trying to be stupid.
Yep.
It's not like I'm a flat earther or something that needs to be pulled back. Needs their leash jerked every 5 minutes.
I don't know. You might be. You might need that.
Yeah.
So, all right. You guys have fun. Be sure to check, at least me, I don't know about Squirrel tomorrow, over at AT2 Productions channel for Veterans Talk Weekly.
I should be there. Don't quote me on that. I should be there because things that have been going on recently here have kind of calmed down a little bit. So you should be able to get there this time. I'm not. I couldn't tell you about movie night. I will try and get there for VTW.
Yeah, movie night's kind of been out of the works for me. I have to go back and rewatch it because I have to work early on Saturdays now. Yeah, because I can't.
That's no fun.
I can't convince my boss that she needs to take Mondays off and work Saturdays, so that way I can have my Friday, Saturdays off.
What do you? Oh, you got. I don't know if you're even caught up on my stuff. Are you?
Nope. I kind of have been sticking to the world of politics lately.
Well,
my view.
I was just. You're not the great big gamer anyway. I am. That's
my
job.
I love playing games. If I could make a living doing it, I would. But I just don't have the.
I'm not. I'm really not, but it's a lot of fun any damn way, and it does bring in enough. It brings in enough cash to keep gas, mostly to keep gas in the van. So we're all good, as long as we don't have to go too far.
Yeah, well, I don't have a computer for it, and I don't want to be solely stuck on Twitch with my Xbox One. But I have figured out a way to do it. I just can't live stream yet. But
actually, you know what? When you come up, I'll show you the rig that I put together, and it was dead cheap. It was cheap and easy to do.
Oh yeah,
It
I'm sure
really
there's
was.
ways. It's just I've I figured out because I need to buy another external hard drive anyways for my Xbox. I can have one formatted to a particular format type that records nothing but videos, and I can do an hour-long clip at a time. Pretty
I'll tell you
interesting.
what. Uh, one of these days here very soon, you have to come up and see how I've got my shit put together. Because I've actually had the rig I'm currently using to do games works very well, and you don't have to do all the bullshit.
We'll have to. And
Especially not being restricted to Twitch, because that is its own batch of problems.
yeah, but maybe I'll be able to pass this
And
along
who
to you
knows?
while I'm there.
That would be lovely. All right, so all right, guys. Don't forget to drop by. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do the commenting thing, because on both channels, in fact, if you can, because quite frankly, it helps immensely. Even if you can't do like donations or whatever, just a like and a share will takes us from page 50 to page 21.
Yeah,
Okay, so after that,
especially
it
in our
takes
two genres.
no kidding. Um, because our fields are actually are fairly thoroughly saturated. And whilst I admit that that's not ideal, it's still the thing I want to do. So screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway.
Yep, same here. So we'll catch you. I'll see you guys tomorrow over at AT2. Hopefully Squirrel will be there. And if not, catch them out at least on Saturdays. And isn't it usually Wednesdays or Tuesdays that you do your other stream?
It's supposed to be Tuesdays. Lately, it's been Wednesdays.
So
Kind of a
go,
thing.
go subscribe to
Although
the
here in a
Squirrel.
couple of weeks, usually I do mine at noon, our time. But there's a situation coming up in a couple of weeks. I got an interview. Um, I want to say it's towards mid-April. I think it's like the 8th, which is a Tuesday, and it'll be an hour late that day, if depending on what my email has to say. So,
Sweet. All right. Well, everybody take care. Have fun.